Happy Friday, my friends, and welcome into NECC Collegiate Overwatch. My name's Jeff. I'm here with Soev as we get into week 3 of some collegiate action. We've got some good ones lined up for you tonight, friends.
Yeah, we're going to kick it off here in D3. We've got the Battle of the Carolinas. We've got North Carolina coming in, North Carolina at Greensboro, coming in against the University of South Carolina Gamecocks. And, later on in the afternoon, we'll kick it into Div 2.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that one. We get the debut of Redbird Shikigami. But as you say, we got this Battle of the Carolinas first. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. We're starting with a little D3 action. Both of these teams coming in 2-0. Let's not wasting time. Let's just go ahead and pull up those rosters, take a look at our players going to be hitting the battlefield here for this initial D3 matchup. Both teams undefeated. I can't help but feel, being a Battle of the Carolinas is a little extra oomph, behind these players here today.
Yeah, I got to imagine that there's a little bit more pride when you look at it, especially for like the University of North Carolina. You're not the, I guess in a way, you're not the University of North Carolina. You're at Greensboro. You're kind of one of the satellites, so maybe there's a little bit of extra pressure to really kind of take down, the South Carolina Gamecocks and kind of, hey, look, we can contest with our main campus counterparts in some ways, but like you said, it's going to be really interesting because these are both big schools with a lot of talent that have just there.
And so, sometimes the esports is the perfect place for the satellite school to kind of step up and find their niche, like maybe y'all have the traditional sports, but, we destroy everybody in Overwatch. So there you have it. There you go. We beat University of South Carolina in Overwatch. So, there's perhaps there's some pride on the line there. We are, headed into this week 3. We will not see any hero bans here in NECC, nor are we implementing perks yet. So something to keep in mind as we head through the night. We are going to give our collegiate players a little bit of time to get acclimated here, not immediately just throw them into the fire of this massive change here to our beloved.
Yeah, and to that all ends, it does save a little bit, it gives them the time, like you said, to just get ready. But we do have still that similar map format where it's going to be a loser pick. So with Control being map 1, Hybrid and Escort going on to map 2, you'll only get one of those, and then Push and Flashpoint, as I say, in addition to not having all that, there's no Clash anymore. Clash got removed in case you happen to be living under a rock, so, the map selection path did change slightly, but there's still a little bit of flexibility when it comes to how these teams want to maneuver the mental game of Overwatch.
And really, you just have that choice with Hybrid and Escort being on map 2 or map 5 is kind of the real big caveat there that may be different from what you might be used to in other Overwatch competitions. But yeah, Clash kind of got removed universally, got taken out of comp as well, just until they can kind of refine it a little bit, which I think is a good move. And of course, we do have that 6 Control map if we need it. But go ahead.
As I say, we are getting slowly the initial bans coming in.
We are. So
there is that with the maps as well. I do see Oasis is the initial ban from University of North Carolina. So that's kind of an interesting one because that is usually the number 2 map I feel like teams want to play, which still leaves, the kind of probably the most scrimmed map when we look at Control. So, maybe, is today the day we finally see, like, an Antarctic Peninsula to kick us off? I really don't think so. But, that's just kind of an odd ban, I feel like.
It is an unusual ban. Oasis tends to be a pretty popular map. There's a lot of high ground on that map.
Yeah.
So, I wonder if that's any indication of what UNCG wants or does not want to play, if they're trying to keep it more into these brawly styles. We've definitely seen the meta shake up quite a bit over the past couple weeks. Seems like there's a lot of viable compositions available. So perhaps this is just, a glimpse into the strategy that the Premier are going to bring in here today. Try to keep it with the ground game.
Yeah, we were kind of talking a little bit pre-cast about some of the heroes and the eventual perks they'll see. But, talking particularly like Zarya has gotten so much play more recently, even, since the history of Overwatch 2. I feel like we've never seen Zarya receive so much play and genuine selection, but then you're also seeing things like Junker Queen still get a lot of play. And then there's still space where Hazard and Winston, if Dive is more of your style, still get so much play. I think the only real consistent thing we're seeing right now is that, with the outside of Control, arguably, like, people are still really stuck to, Brig X variants of the backline, playing these very safe defending backlines. So I think that is another thing we probably will see at least a little bit out of.
Yeah, Break Juno is still very strong, particularly if you wanna play into the more tightly bunched compositions. If you're running more of the Mago or the Ramatra style, and yeah, of course the Lucio Curie. You know, you could take the
Yeah,
Amplify
that too.
route where they run the Malgo, but then run Lucio Curie with it pretty much exclusively. So it gives a lot of utility to this they turn the Malgo comp into a very fast paced kind of ground dive comp. So we're in such a cool spot as far as the meta is concerned. And I think we were there already before perks got introduced, and still we're in this wonderful shakeup since the hazard meta got solved. So, who knows? We'll see. We'll see what our teams bring to the table. I think it could really be, our teams leaning into their strengths. Are they very, practiced and polished at a particular composition? That could very well be the team that takes the match tonight more than are they playing the meta composition.
Well, there is one thing that we do know is meta. It has been meta for the longest time, and since we've got our map pick in, I mean, it is going to be Lijiang Tower, the arguably meta control pick, which, again, this is one of those ones that if we had seen a ban of this, I kind of wouldn't have been shocked, because this feels then you're trying to force something different, maybe trying to take an angle or get away from those scrim bucks. But with Lijiang Tower being the pick and Oasis being the ban, it was kind of inevitable at that point. It was just we were always going to come back to here.
It's a universal pick for a reason. There's not much silliness to it, but it's still fun. You still have Gardens that has a lot of environmental kill potential, a lot of boot potential. Same here on Night Market, our sub map we're starting on. But it doesn't quite have the silliness of a well, where
yes.
I think it feels a little bit more, I don't know if fair is the right word, but something along those lines.
I think it opens, fair is actually not a bad descriptor, I think, because there's still a lot of different ways you can go about this. There are people that run the Pharah run the Pharah on maps like this, or an Echo, and you can even see just kind of looking. There's a little bit of variation. Max is has already signaled the ball, maybe not staying on that as they until up, but between Lethal playing more of this ground pound, kind of tank situation, you're gonna really see that this is going to be a map that enables these personal choice picks from these players.
So we are getting that Ramatra out of Lethal in USC. Premier sticking with that ball. It's going to be the Gamecocks grabbing control of the objective first. It hasn't unlocked yet, but they're trying to anchor down now. Max moving in to see if they can disrupt, and Hamilton comes in from the other side. A beautiful pincer maneuver to open things up here for UNCG. And they find first blood. Now go on to the backside looking for more. Max gets the boop onto Arrow. Sending the Sojourn down into the streets of Lijiang. What an opening here for USC.
Yeah, very big opening. These ball comps are so difficult to really pin down because everybody is so mobile. You're necessarily not able to collapse on someone like this brawl comp wants to do. It's so difficult to really pin somebody down when they just have movement abilities to transition to different safer areas or to get help from a team. They also built their ults up a little bit faster with the side of Lucier, who is leading that Kiriko rush. So when that Kiriko rush comes out in this fight, the first one might actually tell us a winner.
USC, we're kind of just taking it slow out of the gate, but Hamilton gets ahead of the rest of the pack to go put some pressure on the objective. Max does not seem dissuaded from their current task, though, of just spin to win here in the back line. A bit of disruption, but no real damage. Lines up Ithaca, though, for a beautiful shot from Tunnel Killer. Had a kill in the last fight, opening up this one. That's going to be a low arrow picked off as Tunnel Killer and Max are combined for that one. It's going to be another good hold here. As UNC will win this second fight. There's still a couple of stragglers, but they're quickly getting dealt with. Ooh, Aaron with a nice two piece at the end.
It gets rails out too, so that is something pretty good actually. That's you'll take that.
Yeah.
If that's your value out of a lost fight, that's not bad. Getting that means you, in theory, can now lead in the ult advantage and now just have to get past this very spread out comp. And you can see it when Max goes in to disrupt and slams in or makes an impact or hits somebody. The team is following up on that, and that's what makes this comp so dangerous, but also so difficult to maintain and to run effectively.
Yeah, the coordination has to be just on point. You just get a little pulled apart. It becomes very easy for the Romantic comp to isolate a target. So far, the coordination out of UNCG has been good, but Munchie falls early. Does manage to get this continuing rush out, though, and quickly Hamilton swings it back the other direction with a pulse bomb kill in the follow-up. Looking to go take down Arrow here in the corner as well. Will find it. Hamilton just eventually falls. Aaron puts another one on the board, but runs into the mines. Trying to get the overtime. Oh, no.
Never mind, Jeff. Never mind.
Never mind? Huh?
Never mind.
I see what you did there. I see what you did there.
Yeah, look, it's not a pretty joke, but it is a true joke, if nothing else, because that space control from the mines was enough to was really enough to prevent that out. I mean, UNCG just dominated. It feels like their game plan went exactly how they expected, even when they maybe gave up an extra ult here, and you see this overclock. Like, even when they gave this up, maybe that they didn't have to. They still timed all of these ults perfectly. They matched the Kitsune Rush. They had the sound barrier for the few answers that were coming out of USC. And everything else was just beautifully done. They're going to give it up to go to Amalga, though. I mean, that makes sense here in Control Center. You do kind of just give this up. It is, lower ceilings, harder for ball to get value. So they're going to play a lot more ground pound with the Mei, try to create those isolations, and even the Moira. So, again, keeping this kind of mobility and self-sustaining comp. Wow.
Yeah, wasn't much sustained for Bungie,
wow,
unfortunately.
Never mind.
Arrow opened up strong here. We got, maybe got a little jealous. We were talking about Tunnel Killer so much. Lethal just smashed Tunnel Killer right on top of the dome. Quick couple of picks, and suddenly it's USC here who are primed to get first control.
It's interesting because they ended up in a double hit scan, which, we've been kind of seeing that slowly come out, usually in like Sojourn Ash or Sojourn, Cassidy is kind of the other one, because you get a little shorter range, can play in with your tank, but it's so effective when you look at how do you stop or poke a little bit better while you're waiting for the brawl segment. So an interesting comp that does kind of work in their favor versus UNCG.
And that extra poke damage is crucial to take down Amalga. The extra poke damage to Amalga before they run in like that is exactly what Aaron does. Able to just unload that 6-shooter, finds a 3-piece through that fight. And UNCG are running for the hills. They're not going to make it to the hills.
Wow, this is just an entirely different story from Submap 1, Jeff. Like, it feels like the USC, this is everything. They've made the one or two adaptations they needed, and everything is perfectly in their corner. And UNCG just can't really get themselves into a position. They'll be behind on ultimates here. So watch for this Kitsune Rush paired with these hit scans.
Lethal getting bailed out. This Lucifer's going to throw in that Kitsune Rush, just as you mentioned. Still hasn't managed to get Lethal back up into that precious armor rate, but Max takes a lot of damage in their own right, and both teams kind of backward from their separate corners. Looks like UNCG circumventing the Kitsune Rush, trying to make it back onto this point. Overclock and Deadeye out here. Arrow still pocketing the overclock. Got the sound barrier invested. Dread matches it late, and Tunnel Killer comes out with their own OC. Still not able to find a pick until the very end. Lethal hangs around on the objective a little too long, lands themselves in a mismatch, focus down. This returns the favor, but without the tank, it's a massive advantage here for Premier. Oh, it's still close. Max looks like they're going to take it home. Ithaca grabs 2, though. Wow.
Wow. I mean, that is a big pick on the way out, and a heavy investment from the Gamecocks, too. Both support ultimates plus both DPS ultimates to still lose that is a little unfortunate. Now going into the next fight, I mean, there's a cage, there's a blizzard. It is a literal trap setup for UNCG. They just need to make sure that they catch at least 1 or 2 of these important targets, either the tank or the supports, to get the value.
Arrow is able to slide out. Max makes the raid. Doesn't quite land with the overclock. Draws him back in. The bait is good, but Lethal says, that's just fine with me. Can Lethal escape the blizzards? The next question. Lethal's frozen, but it did look like Aaron was able to escape. It's still Hamilton. Finds the angle on both of the aforementioned Gamecocks.
I was saying, gave his life for that one, quite literally. But that was the setup, right? That was always going to be the play. Thought they needed to come back on ball for time, but back to Mauga on that. It cost them everything they had, though, Jeff. So Gamecocks now, they'll have a Kitsune Rush, they'll have Annihilation. They should just be able to quite literally run down the Premier at this point.
Yeah, it looked like UNCG were trying to take this fight fast, which I don't know that I would agree with. Maybe it played out a little slower, built up some support ults, but they try to go head-to-head. It has been a trade in kills. It's still a +1 to USC at the moment, but with the low Arrow in the back, Max isn't able to secure it. Arrow actually does fall, but Max has to sacrifice themselves to do it.
It's worth it if it gets you the, if you're spreading the team out that far, it's worth it. It does come to the overtime point, but I mean, UNGC, they have both support ultimates up. They're going to be matched on the opposite side. So Aaron is kind of the difference maker here with this High Noon.
Double support ults thrown in here from USC. The Deadeye doesn't land, but Max eventually does go down, which is kind of forced to stand still because of that Deadeye. Overclocked off from the top, and Tunnel Killer has already picked up 1 onto Arrows and a -1 in this fight. There's the equalizer. There's 2! Tunnel Killer finds both supports with that overclock, and UNCG got themselves a chance here. They just got to work through Lethal. Dread has no health, trying to run away. Budgie is still in this point, keeping the yellow bar going. Now we've got Max returned on the wrecking ball. Lethal is low, Lethal is down. Enough reinforcements from UFC have shown up. They might be able to keep this going, though.
I mean, it's going to be enough that Lucio's going to eventually get caught out there, and the numbers now favor UNGC, so they'll stay alive.
Ooh. That was, yeah, I thought Arrow might come in and try to keep fighting it out. You saw, the DPS were right on the fringe of coming back into that fight, but USC do indeed just back away. They're going to be patient and wait for this one final engagement.
As I say, they know they have time for one more fight, and if they're tracking well, they also know that Arrow has the only oats of the Gamecocks do have the advantage going into this, but Arrow needs to live to get high ground and get angles for this.
Very low Hamilton on the outside. Dread is the one fouled as the overclock is popped. Body shot lands, keeping the Sojourn at bay. Lethal able to find one off screen. Arrow hits Bungie on the jump. Beautiful shot. There's the flip in here from USC, and they are going to send us on over to Gardens for one final round of Lijiang.
Interesting. Quite a different submap from 2. It definitely seemed like when UNCG had to play this brawl combat, it felt like they just were they hadn't met their match realistically. Maybe it was the choice of tanks that was very different, a little bit of a different brawl style, very more, sudden brawl for the Premier. But I mean, the Gamecocks, they stuck to their plan on 1 and 2, and this time the game plan just looked a little better. I think Premier, they kind of need to keep themselves in this very divey ball state of mind if they're going to try to close this out. It was their best look. They looked so strong there. They're going to show us something different, though, the Hazard. So similar style to that. They're really just kind of flexing here and showing us off everything they can do for the side of Premier. Gamecocks are going to show the Diva as well, so a bit more defensive in their dive style. I mean, it's going to be hard for this Hazard to get a lot of value, but still, these dives have been strong for the Premier. I expect them to find some value with it.
And they really are just flexing their hero pool here. Where USC Lethal was changed over, but the other 4 players are on the exact same roles. We're seeing Bungie go on to their 3rd support of the map. Max picking up their, 4th tank of the map? This is some serious flexing. And then Aaron, well, you know what? This is why you have a Tracer Specialist. Aaron wins out that duel immediately here in the battle for the T-House early. And USC with another strong start here to kick things off on guards. They grab first control back on control center. And they're going to do it again here.
Yeah, I mean, the Hazard's kind of a tough play here. You really can't force ball. You don't have a ton of walls and places you can grapple off of. But unfortunately, Hazard just gets so much eaten by Diva. You can get in the way of the wall. You can kind of just negate a lot of his abilities, and it's very mobile. But Lucier again just finds to make that 3. They're just done immediately. The Gamecocks are bringing the fight now.
They are heating up. They're eating good. And that shot from Arrow was spectacular. Wow. That was a beautiful shot.
Yeah, I mean, the Gamecocks definitely, that map 1 now seems like a real wake-up call to them. It seems like they just kind of went, oh, we aren't locked in. Let's just lock it and do this now. And especially now that they're coming into ults, like, it's going to be Sigma for for Max now. Like, again, just searching for answers now. The Gamecocks are just live, and they'll have these ultimates just, again, to brute force their way into this.
Wolf Bomb doesn't land, and Aaron gets caught trying to make that happen. Spent too many cooldowns to get in. Way too deep. 5v4 for UNC. But they drop Hamilton on the way, and a consideration now invested here from Lucer. And everybody's just kind of stuck in a hallway. Makes you like fish in a barrel here for Lucer and these kunai. Max, no way you get out of that one alive. And now Lethal comes in and hunting for blood.
I mean, beautifully done. That Diva is just a heat-seeking missile of death right there. Lethal has been phenomenal on this. And again, only 1 ult to win that, so still very effective. They still have the ultimate pool advantage there. So UNGC Premier, I mean, 1 more fight. This sound barrier has to be used very sparingly if they are going to get to point and maybe stand a chance here.
Good. It's just going to drop it early. Ithaca immediately responds, and Arrow holding on to this overclock is the final ace in the hole if they need it. Already picked up a kill on the Bungie. 10% away from that orbital right, taking that big ultimate out of the fight. Max significantly lacking healing and sustain as that overclock is popped from Arrow. Self-destruct out of Lethal as well, just to make life even more complicated here for UNCG. There's a parting gift out of Hamilton. As the Premier, are going to go quietly into the night, but they are gone off this point and down 0-1 in the series.
Oh, Juno just missed, but
it wouldn't have lasted long anyway.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been long enough to make it a difference. But it's always, you always just hate to know that you were like right there, just a hair short. But I mean, Yeah, what a wild first game, Jeff. We saw so many different looks from both of these teams across these 3 submaps, and we saw 3 very different stories from these teams. It feels like submap 1 with that ball comp out of the premiere was just phenomenal. It was executed perfectly. I think that was the best I've seen a ball team play in so long, and it seemed like everything went their way. But once they were off this they clearly had to be a preferred comp. It seems like the Gamecocks just knew how to exploit all of their weaknesses, and all of their training kind of kicked in to realize, all right, look, we know how to win these ground fights. We know who we have to isolate and who we have to find, and we know how to make our space for our sojourn. So, and then similarly in Game 3, it just feels like UNCG just searching for some sort of an answer, knowing that even on the D.Va, they couldn't get past all the defensive cooldowns that were there, just constantly searching for an answer when they couldn't play the hazard comp that they really wanted to run here.
And what I find most interesting about all of that is that UNCG were the ones that banned out the Oasis map. The map that had some good high ground and, where you could both, at least 2 of the 3 maps would have been ideal for the hazard ball kind of style. So, we theorized maybe they wanted to play the ground game. Turns out they just played right into USC's hands.
Yeah, I guess their consolation prize is they'll get a redo here for Hybrid or Escort.
Fair.
So UNHG will get to pick the mode. Then the Gamecocks will get to ban a map, and then UNGC will get to pick whatever map from the pool that they selected that they'd like. And so just kind of looking at what we saw, I kind of imagine it's like, I feel like Escort's probably the right option. Like, there's a lot of high ground based Escort maps that I feel like you really want. If you want to play the hazard, if you want to play ball, that feels like it really leads to your style. And you've kind of already seen that the Gamecocks don't handle it well when you're playing this very isolative deathmatchy, distant collapse style of a dive. So I do think that they might go that. Yeah, that's all that fast-paced, that very reactive stuff. So I do think that might be the way they go. But we do have subs coming in as well, so there's changes for everybody.
Oh, interesting. Oh, by the way, I think I'm just gonna start calling them North Carolina. It's just too many. It's just too many letters.
Yeah,
it's just too many letters. Let's just call them North Carolina.
Look, I agree.
I'm just making a decision right now.
I love it.
The Premier just sound. I don't know. It doesn't roll off the tongue, all that well. Otherwise, I'd say let's just go with the Premier. But it does. We're calling North Carolina, friends. All right, that's it. I'm making it an executive decision.
That's fine. Look, in the Battle of the Carolinas, they have to represent their state appropriately.
Represent their state, exactly.
Yeah, it makes total sense. We do have Hamilton coming out for North Carolina. Speaking of that, Amar is coming in for Hamilton, and Hamilton played the May, played the Tracer.
Yeah, played a little Tracer there in that third map.
And I think they played one more other hero, but they might have not. But either way, like, it was a solid performance. So this feels like we're bringing in, like a different, maybe more of like a ground pound, like a Junkrat, a Sim, something that's more like brawly as opposed to something that's more, blink or aim based. Because we left our hit scan in, so this has to be like a particular like pick in mind.
And, they kind of showed us a touch of double hit scan before.
Yeah,
so, maybe this is more in the flex role. We have seen the Torb, unironically, make a strong impact in the meta. Although that has been more of an anti-hazard composition or, kind of play style where, we didn't really, we saw a lot of ground and pound out at USC. So I'm curious what the strategy is. I like it. They're not just... if anything, we're seeing flexibility. That's definitely one thing we saw a lot of from North Carolina. So, you know what? They're going to keep leaning into that strength and keep kind of throwing different looks at them here. Who knows? We'll see what happens when we get into our map pick. We did get a ban in already. We don't quite know what North Carolina has picked yet. We do know USC has banned out Midtown.
And we do know that the mode is going to be hybrid first. So if we end up at 5, we'll get Escort later. And, Jeff, we banned the, number 2 pick, but leave the number 1 pick here.
Right.
We're going to go to Kings Row, which... once upon a time, it used to be the home of, Brawl and Ground Pound, but lately we've seen so many more, Divas, so many more Winstons, so much of this high ground control be so important, especially when it comes to dislodging, the hit scans that are left way in the back. So I do actually think that this kind of works in North Carolina's favor if you want to play something divey, a hazard, a ball.
I would agree with you if we didn't see Lethal pull out just a mean ass diva.
Yeah, though. Yeah, he's right though. He's right, chat. He just is. We have another sub though coming in though. For North Carolina is Yodi for Budgie, so maybe a more dedicated player for one of those flex support slots. But like we said, for North Carolina, like, you know what? Map 1 didn't go your way. Let's make some changes. Let's bring in people who might be hot, and let's see what changes. Because, again, that reads to me like we're changing and setting up for an entirely different comp, maybe a more one of those particular comps what they're setting up for. But that's how it reads to me anyways when you look at, like, subs and then map picks.
I'd have to agree 100%. I think they are coming in with the strat. I mean, it could just be something as simple as we're just trying to get everybody play time. That's not how it feels. And immediately we're seeing Amar pick up a flex DPS pick, locks in that Genji, and this aligns with our thinking here. You're going to bring in a Genji specialist, somebody that's a little bit more flex DPS focused, and Max showing us that that hazard right out of the gate. So they're falling right into this double speed comp. Obviously, they're on the attack and do have 23 seconds if they want to change their mind, but they pretty insta-lock this. I don't think this is a troll.
No, this feels like a very reasonable comp, and Yodi locking the Juno is also something. I don't think we saw a Juno particularly long out of Budgie, so this feels, again, like someone who has been particularly training for this hazard comp. On the other side of the Gamecocks, though, it's that mean D.Va comp, but they're playing double flex support. They're playing the Ana and the Kiri, so Ana's going to be a little bit more exploitable in this comp. So if North Carolina recognize this immediately, they have a place that they can get onto.
And they have lots of heroes to do it with. Dread, Max, and Amar can all pounce on that Ana, although Max has kind of put themselves in a really bad spot down there. It's hard to stage from in between those two pillars. Now they eat an anti-nade? What a huge bio. I think that was, Tom Brady eat your heart out. I think it was from across the map. Max lucky to get out of that one alive.
I say the Genji also not going to make it out. No, he's not getting that.
Ooh! Lethal kind of botched that,
Okay.
I mean, and just that little bit of flub gives this space to North Carolina. You had Amar so low, you had Max so low, but USC are not able to find the kills on that. They do eventually bring down Nordy. And that's the start they're looking for, even though North Carolina were able to pick up some space here. And Max is still threatening right at the archway. So some good ground picked up here with UNC. Let's see if North Carolina can do anything with it.
They have a chance to retake here. And considering the North Carolina did manage to avoid that most of that nade, they should be able to get in. They have the ult advantage coming in. They'll have a nano and they'll have this Kitsune. They're going to wait until the last second to touch though, and
they're not going to get it.
No, they're not. Okay.
And I was surprised with the nano. I thought they might try to re-engage with that. I mean, Ithaca got that up pretty quick. And now look at this. Now they not only do they not get a chance to re-engage, they're going to lose bookstore control, and they're falling all the way back into the foundry.
That just feels like now we're being punished for hesitation for the Gamecock side. Like that's straight up, okay, we're waiting. Do we have the resources to go in? And there wasn't, it feels like the call just wasn't quite there. So now it's recovering, getting the mental back together as they, like you said, they'll lose the bookstore, and they'll have the high ground in this T section at the end here to kind of play to. They are behind in most of the other ultimates though. They don't have a defensive is kind of the only thing for South Carolina here. So I mean, North Carolina, but Dread just has to make sure this sound barrier lasts and stops something.
Unfortunately, Dread doesn't get a chance to get it out in time to save Max. So, I mean, maybe the play was to beat Blade and use the sound barrier aggressively, but you lose your tank in the process.
I mean, the good news is you can still do it back. Like, you still have that plan. Yeah, you did trade for Kitsune Rush, and that might be something you're afraid of, but you almost have to save the sound barrier now because Aaron is coming into a Dragon Blade of their own, plus Bob is there. That is two big high-value ults. Both of them almost demand the sound barrier.
God, another big Bionade lands. Wow. Look at the assists and the feed out of Ithaca. I mean, okay, you don't get the nano in onto Aaron, but I think with the Bionade landing, you've done your job. Yeah. There's Arrow finding Amar, and that will indeed put an end to this push.
That was relatively cheap too. You spent both DPS ults and that's fine if you're South Carolina, but I mean you got Laser. That's a high value ultimate for North Carolina.
You also got both support ults out of UNC.
Yeah, you did. You're right. You got both of them out of UNC. So this downpour is gonna be the key to their success now.
Unfortunately, it just doesn't land. The whole backline's able to take a couple steps back and just disengage from it. Then Nano Boost thrown onto Lethal, finds Yordi through it. has a very low max. We get the blade out of Amar, trying to pull it around, but Loser just gives him a quick backhand to the face, and the blade falls on the ground.
All right, remember how I said the backline from the Gamecocks had to be able to defend themselves here, and they were exploitable? They're not looking very exploitable when the carry just wins the duel. Like that's the problem, right? You're really trusting the support line from the Gamecocks to win their duels, and they are doing that. In spades. Lethal still has a self-destruct, so this longer fight goes in. But Max is going to the Zarya, just some more raw power, just try to build that up. And Dread is going over to the Brig as well, so a lot more stable of a comp.
I mean, this is just went straight death ball. Amar pulls out a Reaper as well. Can Amar survive? Okay, has the Wraith form to get away through the Kitsune rush. So just a small pause here from North Carolina. Now they're going to try to turn the corner and respond. Arrow low, able to back up and get heals. Overclock from Tunnel Killer. Arrow's having none of it. Shuts it down. Lethal just holding here. Pause around the corner. Aaron gets picked, though. Aaron falls way too far. Got himself stuck in book score. Lethal now coming in. Try to do the same thing, but they actually succeed where Aaron had failed.
We're getting scrappy, Jeff.
We are getting scrappy.
UNC is trying to force anything, and now we're just getting punished by South Carolina here. You can see it, like they're just trying to, we know we have a minute 30, we know the pressure's on, we know we maybe made some mistakes, and now we're just constantly trying to recover for it. The good thing is that they do have a laser, they do have a rally coming in, grab is not far off, so a little bit of poking, and North Carolina should be able to move past a lot of these threats.
Ooh, it's a march. Oh, just can't get away. And then Gin just so disjointed here.
Yeah, like where was he that he was separated? You could see the other 4 players were just already out of the way when the Bob came out, but that's what I was saying earlier about the disconnect between the teams. It seems like the communication is there, but they get 2, and I mean this is their last shot to really make this and take that advantage, but it's gone.
Yeah, this Leafa Devil has just been incredible here. The nano boost invested. Ooh, but
okay, that's big.
That's huge. Yeah, just that split second where Lethal has to get the remake. Max is able to move in and find that big pick onto Ithaca. This is exactly what USC have been waiting for.
That's their best shot. They have 4 ultimates to push through this. There's no defensive away from them. So this grab into a Death Blossom has the potential to be just to keep them alive, and they need to do it. 30 seconds means this is the last fight.
Grab and rally ready to go. Death Blossom to couple with it. The blade shut down. The dancing disco of death. And Aaron cannot get anything done with that Dragon Blade into the backline to find Ithaca. And there we go. North Carolina find their rhythm. May have taken them a minute here, but they found it.
Yeah. Well, they found it, and they found the comp that's working, right? The changes that needed to get in to really crack past Lethal's Diva. They found it, and they're still making changes. Tunnel's going to go over to had one over to the Ashe, missed that, and has built up a Bob in the meantime as well. So still holding on to some answers. They should be able to push in around this difficult first corner, especially when they get Arrow like that.
Yeah, what a great opening. Tunnel Killer, my goodness! Just farming here in the beginning of point C. They enter with 90 seconds, and suddenly North Carolina are just touching the spawn doors. Gold star there for Amar.
Again, this is how swingy these matches have been, though. Both teams just find an answer and go, but Gamecocks have no fuel. There's no ults. They're waiting. Their nano has to be anything.
Oh, and the grab.
The door.
Unfortunately, it doesn't work out. We saw Max kind of dancing around the defense matrix, looking to get that grab out. When they finally get it out, they die. So no follow-up on that. It looks like the momentum from North Carolina has been halted.
Yeah, there needed to be something to follow up with that grab. Opted thinking maybe they were going to give up the Zarya, but the Zarya's been working well. They still have a rally for the side of North Carolina, but they are going to be met by a Nano and a Kitsune Rush. So, playing from behind the 8-ball here, they really need Tunnel Killer to pop off like they had in the previous round, get any sort of value, set up some sort of pick for them.
Pressure on the Diva is a good start. I would anticipate that Nano going on to Lethal. Lethal has been good for a 2K, pretty much every single Nano. Gotta keep Lethal in check here. Dread, Max already low as the continuation is invested in. Max is just gonna get run down immediately. With the rally up, there's still hope here for North Carolina as Dread smashes through Aaron. Beautiful combo. Loser is there for the payback. Amar 15% away from the Death Blossom, won't get it. Lethal will find the kill, drops the self-destruct on the point, zones out the rest of North Carolina, and this is as far as they're gonna get.
All things considered, though, Jeff, that is better than it could have been. We could have been staring down a mid B hold, considering how much they really struggled to get through it. But they found what they needed to do. They put the pieces together, and you could see it. It feels like they just kind of, took a mental reset in the middle of that. It just took, a little bit of confidence from some heroes changes and like a big full reset. And sometimes that's all it takes for a team like North Carolina to really kind of like get back on track. Because once they found this death ball, this just pure run it down Zarya high damage comp, everything kind of started to click. Then they lose out to, you lose out to the ult rotations, unfortunately, and but that's Overwatch. You can't really control that all the time. So the Gamecocks still looking fierce, though. They know they have a win condition. They know their comp is very good, and they know they're skilled at it. And shout out to Lethal, who has been phenomenal again on this D.Va. Just a absolute cruise missile every time they end up in somebody's face.
Yeah, very accurate, and I think was definitely the hero of that defense there for USC. Although Arrow would come up as a very close second.
Oh yeah, Arrow in that backline has been
that
phenomenal.
backline's nutty too, dude. You're so right.
Yeah, like everything from that backline, the Ana, the Ashe, like I'm gonna kind of also give them a little bit of a, they get a little bit of a nick here because they aren't fully being pressured out a lot of ways. Like we were kind of hoping they'd maybe dive the backline a lot harder, but still with the pressure they had on them, they were still able to do so much. Arrow found so much value, and Ithaca had so many fantastic nades and was able to make sure, just constantly having Nano for Lethal is there. The Torbjorn from Amar trying to just shut down any of these flankers they know are coming, and, it needs a backup of their own, it seems.
Gotta highlight Lucer shutting down that blade out of Amar earlier as well.
Yeah.
That was what forced Amar to make swaps. That blade was so demoralizing Amar to quit playing Genji.
Yeah, sometimes that happens to the point. It's a slow look. The slow march has led us to there, and Arrow is the first to fall.
There's a good Bionade in response, though, and Lucer finds the kill onto Dread, so it's just your heals for the defense here from North Carolina. Tunnel Killer is able to respond, put them back on top. As far as players are concerned, they have the sustain to work through this. Max on the D.Va headed to the high ground is purple. Works all the way down to the house to find that Mega, although Lethal is in pursuit, and they're both dueling it out over that high ground up top. Meanwhile, Omar is keeping the rest of these squishies at bay. Ooh, might even move through Hotel to try to find something on that inside. Looks like they got forced out, but Max demeched now, and Lethal moving on to this point. Oh, just hunts down Max. Oh, no.
Yeah, I would say if Max could have gotten back into mech, maybe there's a chance we hold this, but now with that being down, it's just Lethal just missiling down everybody, and finally the Gamecocks will clear that out. Relatively cheap for the Gamecocks, too. I mean, you go into this tunnel and bookstore section of the both support ultimates, 3/4 of the way to a Bob plus a second pulse bomb, because Aaron, I'm pretty sure, built one prior to that and used it. Don't think we saw much from it, but all their ultimates are coming online, so they are doing well. They just need to find a disengage to this orbital laser, because they don't have, they just don't have a defensive for it. It might even be Kitsune Rush away from this orbital laser if they're playing properly.
And the orbital's so good on this particular corner as well. You can throw it through the bookstore, and it's just so powerful in this corner. And there it is. There's a speed ring engage. I anticipate the ultimate to follow directly. Anticipatory, Lucer's going to throw down the Kitsune Rush first. There's the orbital finally popped in. Bob has been invested from Tunnel Killer as well as Arrow. Momentary 6v6, but Mr. Butler ends up down for Arrow. Max tried to push in, and looks like USC just kind of peters out here.
Well, I mean, they kind of traded what they wanted to. You trade Kitsune Rush for Laser. I think you trade that all day. That is a much difficult ult to build. But, ooh, get caught. Look, and Tunnel Killer, the great communication and great call-out definitely caught them out of their way there.
But now you've got a lone Lucer left on the point. Eats a hip shot, headshot. Hip fire, headshot, rather.
Rally?
Yeah, apparently. Dread's like, I don't want to die here.
Okay. I mean, that's huge for South Carolina. You'll absolutely trade self-destruct for a rally all day and twice on Saturday.
It was because Ithaca Nano, though, I believe was why. So it's kind of a moot trade. It's kind of a moot trade.
Yeah. I mean, you're back to a neutral, though, with Amar only having the lava. So all things considered, if you think you can win a neutral, and South Carolina has done that, I think that's a good trade, and Arrow's making it work.
Yeah, the lethality of Lethal's D.Va, which is so impressive, has definitely been a star player here of this series so far.
Oh, yeah.
And because of that great maneuver, USC now have bought a lot of space here through the streets. Lethal just battling out over the corner while the rest of the team catch up and give time for Arrow to get on that flank. Arrow moving in through the alley on that left-hand side. Just picked him apart.
Wow, what a great call. You could see that a second Lethal went in, everybody knew that they were stuck, and Arrow just lit everybody up, not just from the fire, but just in the headshots as well. There's going to be one more shot to contest before B, and it's probably going to come from this lava to try to get the space and cause a little chaos to start this.
Exactly, yeah, Molten Core thrown out immediately onto this point. Just try to see if there's any kind of opening for UNC to pry this open. I mean, you're running into a Kitsune rush. Not ideal. Max is already demacked. Nothing else in the opening to work with. Dread is purple and Arrow's hitting shots. This is all USC.
All right. Real talk, Bullskunk, because you've been around me enough. I am not a mechanics guy. I'm like unimpressed usually by like someone playing, being able to hit the head. But Lethal's mechanics on this D.Va have just been incredible. Yeah. You made Amar actually head turn because you dove in, got in and out, did your damage, and Amar was just caught with her ankles broken, didn't know where the D.Va was. And that kind of skill and control of D.Va is not something every player has. Phenomenal play from this D.Va. This Bob is going to be so dangerous. There's nothing in the way of it here.
There you go, Lethal. There you go, Lethal. You actually impressed Soab with your mechanics.
That wild. I'm just sold.
Orbital Ray and a rally available here for this defense from North Carolina. They're going to nade it, too. They got a hold for 3 minutes. He got 4 check marks on the other side. Max dropping a self-destruct on the high ground, maybe just fishing for something. But a quick kill onto Omar, and Lethal does have that nano once again. Wow. Goes in for the dive, and there's those mechanics on display. Chases the Juno out, making it look easy. The rally pop from Dread, and the orbital was used in that. I did not even see the orbital hit the battlefield. Still, Arrow and Aaron are the ones whose names light up the feed. Hey, you know what? Ithaca getting into the mix as well. This is looking like a USC 2-0 lead. They just got to fend off this contest. A 1 health Yordi not lasting long in that Kitsune rush. The Gamecocks are on match point.
I mean, beautifully done from South Carolina. Just masterful. Like, this is something I would say. Like, look, if you think you want to be running a, this D.Va kind of a dive comp, just watch the Gamecocks. They understand exactly what they need to do. They're communicating so effectively through it. They understand when they need to use it, when to follow up on those nades, particularly because the way they're running that comp, that variation, isn't easy. Like, Ana Kiriko is not a safe backline by any means, but they are making this look just phenomenally clean. This is clearly where they want to be going into the future, and they really are trying to make a push for these other collegiate divisions and homecoming with this look.
I mean, that's a high level look. That's something you normally see in like OWCS Korea. It's very difficult to run, to understand why you would need to run Kiriana and not have the protection of a Brig or the speed and protection of a Lucio. Very, very difficult to play. But USC are getting it done. They specialize in this, and there you go. They've got the 2-0 lead. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, it'll be map 3. Can the Gamecocks close it out? We'll see. See you there.
Supposed to say?
It doesn't matter. He's dead. He ain't listening to you anyway.
I'm hungry.
No. Put it away. I can't watch it. Oh, crap. Just reach in. You gotta pull it. Just grab it. Just take it out of his hand. What do you mean you can't?
He won't let go.
What do you mean he won't let go? He's dead.
Help me. Get in there. No, just hold on.
Make him let go of it. No, I got you covered. Just go in for a hug. Go and get on in there. It's a bad loss. Yeah, hug him up. Just reach. Hug him up.
He's breathing. On the other side.
Go.
I can't do it.
Help me, Lord. Help me get over this loss.
I can't breathe.
Yeah, I can't breathe. I'm so upset. I can't breathe. Stop. You knock on wood so they go to heaven. It's like a lucky.
Hey, get the stick.
Yeah. Hey, did you get the meat stick?
Yeah, I got it.
Hey, just hold tight for a second. They're moving the casket. Just hold tight.
Yeah, that's no worries. I got it.
Well, Lethal just lobby admin on that Diva there, made the swap late on map 1, maintained the Diva all through King's Row, and wow, was it dominant. 2-0 lead now to USC as we head into map 3.
Map 3 has already been decided, thankfully, in the background while we were taking a break and getting some water. We got a ban of unsurprising New Queen Street, and we will go to the now revamped and now loved Coliseo, since we've, opened and gotten rid of the glass and adapted and changed some of the less fun parts. We're back, and this is a good one. Particularly, though, I think this is a great pick, Jeff, because when you consider that South Carolina has looked phenomenal on a Diva, guess what's not really fantastic here? You can run it, but it's a little outclassed here, is the Diva. And additionally, there's some changes in, so we really are just wholesale changing to stay alive.
Yeah, the Diva can work if you're trying to protect that high ground where you like to sit on your own side. But past that, it can struggle. Even moving up to try to infiltrate, it can take so much damage trying to move up into the opponent's high ground and trying to take that space away. Can be a difficult pick here. Although we definitely saw a great Lumatra out of Lethal early, so we'll see how that goes. You did mention some subs. We do have Hamilton and Budgie coming back into the DPS and support roles respectively. So Enmar and Yordi headed back to the bench.
I can't quite tell what it was. Maybe it's just we're just leaving ourselves to more flexibility. Hamilton's Tracer looked very good, but they're going to pass off those duties to go to Sombra, who, still has some, it's another double flanker option if you don't want to run the Genji, so I don't hate it. But this is, you can get the ball away from here, and this is the look where North Carolina looked the best back on Submap 1 so long ago, it feels like now. But this is their best looking comp, and I think this makes total sense. Gamecocks are going to show us a bit of a Ramatra brawl, again with that double flex support. Ithaca's Ana has been just chef's kiss the whole night, so again, very, very quick, very sudden, brawly, but I do think backed by the double flex support, they should be fine.
The Ana Juno is an interesting look.
Yeah.
This was we saw this when Juno was first released. They were running these two together, but it's, again, a very vulnerable backline. And this time, this composition from North Carolina should be able to punish, but Max struggled to get that pile drive in. We're already seeing Lethal starting to put pressure on that backline. Budgie's down. Dread is low. Only Lucio heals remaining as Lethal overruns back to see if they can pick up Hamilton in this backline. So far, so good here for USC.
They're just going to have to play to counter out, again, all these very quick, all these very mobile heroes. It's going to be figuring out how do you just collapse onto one of them. But Ithaca's going to be a key part to that because of things like the anti-nade, because of the sleep, which, by the way, just catching that ball in the air, beautifully done. Just beautiful done from Ithaca to close that out.
I'd say Hamilton managed to escape the overrun, but isn't going to get out far. There's another beautiful sleep out of Ithaca. That one lands on a tunnel killer. As if hitting the wrecking ball out of the air is not good enough. But you know what? Max and Dread, speaking of that wrecking ball, have in fact countered back. You see Tunnel Killer with a nice sleep there in chat, giving some respect to Ithaca. But Ithaca gets to actually reply now as they're watching a respawn timer. And looks like North Carolina have managed to sail through this. They do still have Lethal on the battlefield, but now Lethal's turning tail.
It's hard because this is a very sturdy character in the Mauga, especially with just the ability to get HP back so quickly. You don't necessarily have the ability to burn down. It makes your dives a lot harder to get, and you really have to commit 2 or 3 of these dive hero characters just to making sure that you get it. You kind of almost have to ignore the Mauga and just trust that your Lucio and Kiriko are going to get out of the way when Lethal goes into counter.
Oh, Dread can't get out of the way of arrow shots. Put one right between the eyes. And the front line just getting mowed down. USC have just got all eyes forward. They're moving through like a bulldozer down through the arches.
I mean, again, they have a very stable comp now. They're in almost, now that they've adapted the Brig and the Cassidy, they're almost into this anti-dive state where they can just play around Lethal now, who's not going far. Pulse Bomb goes in and misses, but valiant attempt made.
I loved that little flank that Arrow was playing on. Hey, good start there, though. Dread able to pick up one. Dread has, seemed to be one of the first to fall every fight. Finding a very important first kill here. Tunnel Killer with a nice little 3-piece. North Carolina suddenly have some energy, some life breathed back into them.
This is what I was talking about when I said, okay, you just have to ignore the Mauga and just leave him because you're never going to burn him down. Turning around and just getting the support line in the back and making sure the Mauga has no place to go except out is your safest bet. Even if Mauga lives, he's not going to gain anything. It's not like letting a Zarya go. So, sound barrier up for North Carolina. They'll have to respond with it here.
And they're going to go in and throw it in early. I mean, before Lethal's cage comes down. Trying to play just the orbital. Now the cage is late. EMP right there to break it. Hits 4, but Ithaca protects their tank. Flails through. Tunnel Killer trying to hunt down the Juno in the back. Can't quite lock Lucer down. Eventually gets it done, but it takes so long that North Carolina have lost all other reinforcements. Tunnel Killer is literally the only one left.
It was the right call to use the EMP defensively. You just kind of had to make sure to get out of the cage there. But again, UNC just again have to play. They have to make sure they live because this is a very mobile comp. Can't afford to lose this Tracer duel so late here.
Oh, and Aaron with the pursuit, able to stay kind of one blink ahead of Tunnel Killer in that. Big props to Ithaca through that last fight. A huge reason they're able to survive through that EMP, the massive EMP.
Yeah.
Ithaca continues to just be a tour de force. Now has Rally here to fend off. Well, I mean, Dread's going to go down. I'm not sure North Carolina's going to get much of a defense here.
Yeah, not with that. Those picks mean basically the fight is over. The pulse bomb misses and Arrow finds a third. So, I mean, it was basically a free fight. Ithaca held on to their rally. Nothing was really put onto him. And Arrow continues to just light up the feed. Ash, Cassidy, doesn't matter. Pick your cowboy. They are our cowgirl. They're good at it.
I feel like the only reason the pulse bomb didn't get the kill was because Arrow got the kill first. Like, even though it didn't stick, I think it was still killed Budgie if Arrow doesn't land the shots first. Like, it's just a race to see who can get the carry out of the fight. Tunnel has their own pulse now, trying to protect this top street. See if they can, put a stop to USC before they round this final corner. And with the minefield out, Max is so far so good. Finds that pick on Lethal, which has been far and few between.
Yeah, and then the bot is going back to mid. Max is fighting out in the middle there. But that pulse bomb is even bigger, catches 2, and the rest of UNC is there to clean up what Max started.
That was the ticket. Tunnel Killer is just fighting tooth and nail for this. I love the tenacity out of North Carolina.
Yeah, really just trying to drag the team kicking and screaming across that finish line, and respect to that. It's double support ultimates for the Gamecocks. Like, there's just nothing in the way here. I mean, rallying Brig on their own should be able to take an aggressive stance, but with how far back they're playing, I mean, they acknowledge they're trying to set UNC up for a trap here of this with this laser.
And Max swapping over to a Sigma, you don't have the escapability, so it's going to be tough to disengage from these double support ults as well, which I think has got to be your only option. Hamilton close on an EMP. Now that might be the ticket. Can Hamilton build this up in time? The rally already used. Good job from North Carolina so far. It looks like they've been able to disengage successfully from that without losing anybody. Here comes USC trying to pursue. The speed ring in that vein, and Hamilton goes down. That was the exact target USC needed to find as the EMP stays quiet, muted here in this attack. And the raid from space is going to escort USC to yet another fight win. This one flawless. No casualties on that one.
I don't know how I feel about the Sigma, though. Like, it's a decent shot, and now we're going over to the Sojourn to try to give it a little more stability. Like, everybody else is still very mobile, and Sigma just kind of gets left out here unless you just literally carry this floating scientist around. And the cage on the other side means that he's now trapped.
Well, the EMP is there to find that, but once again, it's just used defensively. Has been traded out with Lethal down. Definitely still a chance here. Whoa! The Deadeye is good. Everybody's going to fall on the back of that. 3 minutes remaining, and this has been all USC. Important kill from Tunnel Killer, though. That was a huge trade at the very end.
Yeah, that is big. That buys a lot of time and a chance to take it back, considering you have these further spawns. Lethal goes to the Winston. Arrow matches the Cassidy now, acknowledging, look, we're just going to play a little bit of a split. Let the Cassidy hang back with our supports who are a little bit less vulnerable now. And, I mean, they're just going to wait. I love that they are setting up these fights where they want to take them.
USC in control. North Carolina wanting to take that control back, and an opening pick onto Lethal. That's a good start. Just isolating the Winston with the Gravitic Flux. Easy pick and serve for Tunnel Killer. Hamilton follows up after making a swap over to the Genji, and Tunnel Killer picks up another one. So, North Carolina are absolutely not done yet here in Coliseum.
No, they like what they see. A great isolation is the first start to doing that there in the bubble. Maybe no. Max is kind of playing with fire a little this close, but just trying to buy the distraction space for to maybe get those closer spawns. 2 minutes means there's still 2 fights, but Lucier is dangerously low, and Dread has the only ult online. The sound barrier is going to be so important. It needs to get saved to extend the fight if they want to maintain bot control.
Ithaca has, just been a rock here with the rally. Blocks the accretion, throws down the rally. Aaron Lethal come up with 2 kills on the back. Tunnel Killer does have the OC into the back line, picked up one, trying to lock down the Juicy, but that, oh no, that Judo was just so elusive.
Dread died with Sound Barrier 2 is kind of worst case scenario. You really would have liked that when USC started to get defensive, but well, they get back control, 100 meters to 86, and Gamecocks are just going to go ahead and set up their next fight. They're going to try to position this dive where they want it to be. The Sigma looking pretty vulnerable right now.
Yeah, even with double support ult, so it still makes me nervous for Max out there.
Yeah.
There's the speed ring in and the orbital throw in, and that's the initiation. Dread does get the response, but Hamilton does not receive the sound barrier. Having a dash out. Pulse lands behind the car. Beautiful pulse. Even though it wasn't a direct stick, it was well placed and good enough for that kill on Tunnel Killer. And that's going to devalue this Kitsune Rush entirely. As North Carolina only had 3 players left by the time Budgie was able to invest it.
Yeah, again, a little bit of a late investment, and you really would have liked a refund for this. I mean, Sound Barrier was also sent in. The backline swap for UNC in the last minute here. Flux Blade is kind of the saving grace for UNC right now. There's a Primal, there's Overclock on the other side. There's no defensive on either side, so this Flux and Blade needs to be huge here.
Well, it's a good rock to start. The Gravitic Flux, did they catch? No! Arrow shuts it down. The Flux will get absolutely nothing. Tunnel Killer just gets destroyed by the sliding shot. The Blade doesn't even come online. And USC knew exactly what they needed to do to shut this down. Nice shot in chat coming out of Tunnel Killer. The respect given to their opponents here as the Gamecocks are going to push this thing in. And with a handful of seconds remaining, they will complete Coliseo and take the 3-0.
Again, another impressive map from USC. We really rarely see full push completion, so for them to get it out, even in the 11th hour, is still very impressive. This is looking like a team that, considering they are undefeated, this is looking like a South Carolina team that could very easily move up and punch into those Division II spots.
I was thinking the same thing.
Like, this is incredible. Like, I'm genuinely impressed. They definitely look like they could be contending to moving up in the 26 school year just from this performance alone. We'll have to see down the road if this holds, but across multiple maps, across multiple comp types, they have just been a phenomenal team unit.
And we saw, everybody had their pop-off moments. Of course, I say that as Aaron gets shut down by a Death Blossom. But truly, though, the whole team had pop-off times. Ethica and Lethal truly standouts throughout the match, but we saw excellent showings out of the entire squad, and I agree wholeheartedly. I think USC have to be an early favorite here for top contender of D3. I
have to imagine at a minimum they make playoffs, and at the best they are contending for a final spot, especially when you look at their flexibility. We were wondering, and mentioned earlier, double flex support, particularly Ana X comps are not easy to run, but they ran them very effectively. The support line there is so sturdy and defended themselves so well, and that is something not every team can do. Just great recognition from this team. But for the other side, like University of North Carolina, Greensboro, look, this was a tough matchup. Don't sell yourself out in any ways. Don't beat yourself up. This is great footage because you showed us a lot, and that ball comp, even we saw it in one on Lijiang Tower, and we saw it again in Coliseo. The ball comp looked good. Your dive comps looked reasonable. Like, they were executed very well. It just seemed like South Carolina just kind of got the number, and they just kind of knew exactly what they needed to do. And I enjoyed. It was some good play, but I think I would have liked to see different map picks. I don't know if I would ban the Oasis next time. Lean into that wrecking ball, lean into that dive stuff, play more high ground. Maybe it'll work for you. I don't know, but I'd agree. The maps were close. It was a 2-1 on Lijiang. They do get stopped at Kings Row, but it's the very, very end of the map. So, there was definitely some awesome stuff from North Carolina during that series, and they definitely kept it competitive. At least, the last couple minutes of Coliseo kind of got away from them, no doubt, but like you say, nothing to hang your head about if you're a part of the premiere here. Yeah, you take your first loss of the season, and that's fine, but there's still a long season ahead. Exactly. It's still week 3, and wow, that's division. Mind you, like we said, that's Division 3 we looked at. We still have a Division 2 game coming up later, Jeff. In fact, we do. We're going to take a little bit of break, get set up for that one. But when we come back, it'll be worth the wait. I promise. We got University of Southern New Hampshire taking on ISU Shikigami when we return. We'll see you back here in a little bit.
Oh, what an awesome day for a pump, dude.
Yeah, I gotta take it easy. Doc says if I exert myself, I will die.
You overexert yourself, you will die.
I'll tell you what, you finish the workout, all these could be yours. That looks good. A little bit of honey ham for the ham. Get after it, and that's your, nope, get after it, and that's your treat. Hey, do the exercise, do the work, then you get the reward. That's how this works, man. You gotta give it max effort, maximum effort. That's what I'm talking about, baby. Big hams. Make it work, those hams. Work them. Putting in the work. Yeah, baby. Yes. Dude, this is a spicy workout. Gotta make it worth it. Building the beef and bringing home the bacon, baby. I'm loving it. Teriyaki is just about within your reach. Come on, get you some. Come on. Ooh, ooh. Maximum effort. Maximum effort. You're there. You're almost there.
That's so worth it.
We appreciate your patience for a bit of an extended break. We already saw the Battle of the Carolinas. USC took a swift 3-0. Now it's time to move into Division II for our second matchup of the night.
Yeah, these teams are fighting a little bit more closer towards the peak of Overwatch. And when we talk about these two teams, I think these two teams are always in, they're always on the fringe of people's minds. It's SNHU Sapphire and ISU Shikigami U, formerly known maybe to some of you as, the Academy team. Just a slight rebranding of name. Although I do believe that the Shikigami was playing in D1, so having them come back down to 2 is an interesting change of pace, I think, as well.
Well, and it's not the core Shikigami roster either.
Yes, also.
No. That roster is an OWCS.
Yes.
So we're not porting them into a Division II collegiate game. So don't be mistaken there. That was my first thought too. Don't be mistaken there though. This is basically Shikigami's academy team and ISU's academy team kind of came together. And so it's really fascinating. I think it's the first time we've seen a org go the other direction. We've seen collegiate orgs compete in Path to Pro. We saw, actually, a great example would be ISU played under the Redbirds name and competed in contenders and dominated through contenders. This is back with the Old American Tornado roster where we see Kaluge get picked up, and then we see Kaluge and Reiner and that whole crew, UV and all them move up into Overwatch League. We've seen that before, but we've never seen a traditional Overwatch org come in and merge with the collegiate team and enter the collegiate sphere. So this is kind of a hallmark deal we're looking at right now in our debut of this roster here on this stream.
I mean, it's easy to sit here and be all lights and glitter for the Shikigami U squad like you had explained, but let's also not write off this SNHU Sapphire squad because Crazy Cat is also playing, one of those players, we were talking about this earlier, playing for Amplify, so they are used to that pressure as well. And sometimes even just one player of that caliber is enough to lead, the ragtag bunch of, players into a successful season. So I think this is going to be a great real test for both of these teams. The Shikigami U are, you're under the ISU flag. You have a great roster like Carter Kongpog. These are names that have been on this team and are still doing incredibly well. But it's also a great look for SNHU Sapphire, who are always kind of on the fringe of those Overwatch teams to keep an eye out for, but maybe now with someone like Crazy Cat on their team, you might be able to put them into more of a discussion, I think, on the top end of the Overwatch collegiate world.
Oh, 100%. And we've already got our maps in. We got a full lobby. Let's go ahead and get our maps up here for you. Y'all can see that on screen, but I want to elaborate on this point because I think this is a fascinating point because Crazy Cat is the flex port for Amplify.
Yes.
Right? Amplify that just had one of the biggest upsets in the history of Overwatch and a T3 team that jumped into Overwatch Champion Series. They're going to be, Crazy Cat's going to be playing tomorrow against Rad, on the biggest stage and is bringing that knowledge here to Southern New Hampshire. So you're talking about a player that is scrimming against SSG during the week, that is scrimming and playing with strats that are coming down from the highest level and has firsthand experience with these strategies and with these compositions. And absolutely, just bringing that level of knowledge can be a huge boon for Southern New Hampshire here today.
Oh yeah, especially when you look at some of these odd maps that maybe you don't always play, like Nepal for our first pick. Since we banned out Peninsula, I don't know that anybody's. I always love that ban because I don't know that anybody's picking that map, but okay. Right. But Fringe. This is technically considered a fringe map, arguably, when you look at everybody's scrimming Lijiang, everybody's this is probably the number 2 map. So having that little bit of knowledge, having to play at the highest level on some of these second pick, third pick maps, really can elevate a team. So I'm really gonna see how that backline player Crazy Cat really does help this Southern New Hampshire squad. And at the same time, I'm gonna be keeping an eye on the Shikigami U because, like you said, we are now this is the first time we're seeing the top end come down to collegiate. So we're really going to see what the top end impacts the collegiate world, I think, here with this. And both of these options look like viable options from even the top end. It's the hazard dive for the Shikigami. Well, all right, it's still ball dive. Ball still gets some play, but it's the ball dive from Shikigami versus a very stable hazard anti-ball dive. I actually fully expect the sim to stay. So this could just be a top end OWCS match.
I'm really surprised Crimrun changed. I expected Alu to change over that Tracer. That was an expected swap. Crimrun does actually go into the Genji here. And, I mean, what a smart pick out of Southern New Hampshire. Exactly as you're talking about the big brain reads, as they have an anti-dive comp playing on this very small little objective. It's going to make it difficult for ISU to find any openings in this high mobility. Destiny and Alu going to have to work very hard to not only try to open up something on the front line, but also keep Sortex alive in the back. All are dancing on this point, but there's all 5 Sapphire players standing in front. Has to kind of back away. Not an optimal distance here for Tracer. Sneaking in to see if they can find Bap. Was already about half health. Crazy Cat jumps over the wall. Already used the regenerative burst. It's actually one trick he goes down. Alu catches Crazy Cat back on the other side, and no supports here. Shikigami's, their patience is rewarded as they take their time and slowly close the noose around this point.
And this is exactly what that comp needs to do to break these kind of anti-dive comps. You have to get every single angle. So Alu, catching the Baptiste all the way in the back and going the distance into the way back there, making sure the Sojourn has as wide an angle as they can to hit those rails is so important. There's a pulse bomb up for Alu, so watch for them to kind of maybe open this up, try to take a long route to get onto the Baptiste and try to get Lamp out.
Crazy Cat goes over to Akira Ko. This is Crazy Cat's best hero. Play this a lot in the Amplify comps. Able to use that Suzu to fend off the Pulse Bomb immediately, showing some prowess there. 1 health, 1 trick goes back. There's no Mega to pick up, but BLB Fish moves in and finds the kill in the other direction. And it's Shikigami who loses their Lucio first. The wall doesn't land, the rock doesn't land, but a free cap comes through. Shikigami kind of making a little bit of a mistake with as high mobility as they have, and they're not able to keep Sortex alive through the dive of Crimrun.
It really does force the Shikigami U squad to kind of play into SNHU's hand of where they want the fights to be. That's kind of the one advantage they give up, but Sapphire, SNHU Sapphire has a lot more advantages coming in now. They'll have Sound Barrier, they'll have a Flux, lots of tools coming in, and the Mines plus the Nano are a little bit off, with, especially with Alu coming into the Pharah now. There's not a direct hit scan counter, but you are a little bit behind, and there are still ways to get this far out of the air when Mines and Nano may not find as much value as you hope.
The Nano from Shikigami Yu goes onto Alu immediately, who loops around towards Elephant's Eye, but the Sound Barrier from Sapphire makes Shikigami think twice before pushing in on this objective. Sound Barrier fades out. Crazy Cat now has a Kitsune Rush to layer it on top. Alu trying to get up over above. The Mines in from Destiny, and everybody's backing away, but one trick doesn't find safety. BLB Fish takes to the skies using the Gravitic Flux, but Klongpog is right there with the Sound Barrier, perfectly timed. And SNHU Sapphire get absolutely nothing out of those pair of ultimates. And it looks like a flawless fight here at Shikigami U.
It's flawless, but it is time-consuming. SNHU did go to 66 because it took so long. They had to wait out several of those ultimates just to get Bash. And Blobfish going to go over to the Diva. Obviously, need a little more air support. It's the best way to deal with that Pharah, who's very close to a barrage like that. I mean, rails can just be avoided here if you are SNHU. Never mind.
Oh, not with accuracy like that. Crimrun thought they could get away. Carter had him on lock. That was nasty.
Yeah, as I say, that it was a little bit early, and I guess maybe caught enough off guard that SNHU just didn't get out of the sights. But hey, a pick is enough to buy more time. It's now matching 60 percentages for both sides. So looking into one fight territory, depending how long it is. What a perfect nade! I saw that catch 3 on SNHU Sapphire. Oh!
Poor Helios can't even finish the void slide before all kinds of death just flew their direction. And then Sapphire have to back away once again. They wisely holding on to their other 2 ultimates, though.
Kitsune Rush is probably the next engage target, probably paired with this. Yeah, you can see it. Crimrun is trying to see, all right, where can I engage with this and maybe get value out of Blade. Alu does have a... there's a barrage coming up. The Nano's not there for it, though, so they may try to hold out as long as they can before using ult. So SNU can win on speed.
Oh, the Pope! The Pope just ruined the Kitsune Rush! What a play out of Destiny. I don't know if that was just serendipitous, but you take that. Oh, my. Barrage still available here for Shikigami to try to close this out.
Okay.
Crimrun tried to get to the skies. Alu with a quick maneuver and is just out of there. Expect to come in like an eagle. Gets the nano boost. Has the barrage, but Crimrun is right on their heels. Now with Crimrun taken care of, dropping in over the Kiriko. Drops a point blank barrage with a swift step, and the Kiri is right on out. BLB Fish able to pluck Alu's wings, but still Shikigami U find themselves up 1 in this fight.
I mean, but the point was captured, Bullskunk, and the sound barrier is now committed, so SNHU building it back. They stole it at 99, and I mean, there's no one from Shikigami to step up. It's going to be a last-second touch. These mines from Destiny are the only thing in the way here, and they have to find value again.
Clonkmel can leg long enough to get that sound barrier. It could be a difference maker as well. Here comes Destiny dropping in. Love the rollout. Dropping directly up top. The mine's the pile driver. The combo is good, but somehow One Trick is able to skirt out of there. Oh, but you can't avoid that giant collision. Now the pile drive and the subsequent damage onto the Torb. I heard a self-destruct somewhere in the back line, but nothing in the feed, and Helios drops as Alu's able to come in and combine with that dive. 99-99 fight here for our opening round. Sound barrier at the ready. Destiny takes down BLB Fish, and Shikigami, you are fully in control. Cripple with a deflect kill onto Alu, but that is all that Sapphire are gonna find.
That's a tough
no
opening.
No need for the sound barrier there.
Yeah,
Didn't even need it.
Celebratory at that point. Tough matchup for both squads. I mean, that is a tough comp to play into for the Shikigami U, but they handled it very, very well, considering pretty much everybody there was able to kind of avoid getting run down, and SNHU Sapphire never really had a chance to, you know, counter back and find it alone. The Pharah swap was a very, very smart play, so great reads in the middle of the game, which a lot of teams just kind of struggle with. So good calls from Shikigami U. Carter's going to stay the Sombra here, it looks like. I don't hate that. They're going to give it up and play more of... there we go. I said there's more of the ground game I was expecting for Village here. That makes way more sense. Blobfish is going to go in, and okay, we're going to see still just the Torb alone, still putting value on that turret, but not really to cover the flanks like they might have used.
Well, and I think with the swap out of Shikigami U, we may see a change out of Sapphire. We'll see if they want to stick with this very bunkery composition. I feel like Destiny is going to be very survivable, has a lot of sustain.
Yeah.
You can see Destiny doesn't want to stay face-to-face, though. Would rather fight on this point where they have some control.
Yeah.
Uh-oh, Ollie doesn't make it out. That's a disaster. That's not good.
That is bad. They don't really have an answer necessarily for that.
Nemesis form popped here from Destiny. The point's still under nobody's control. Yep, Rock comes out from Blobfish, and that is just going to be the beginning of the end for Destiny. Carter, you might as well just run off the side, bud.
Now that SNHU set up here on the point, they're like dug in like a tick now, because you're not getting the Torbjorn out of the way, and Crimrun is providing all the information just to kind of adjust the fight, so you can see exactly why they're taking that angle there. It's still in the neutral, though, with Blobfish leading the lobby, and I have to imagine between that and the duplicate from Crimrun coming up, if they can poke a little bit longer, they might just win on these first ultimates.
We're going to get Crimrun trying to match Destiny on this point. Is the cap? The cap?
Cap?
Okay. Shikigami just gets that one for free. So they're going to be building up percentage here throughout this fight, regardless whether they win it out or not. Blobfish coming up on his ultimates. In fact, everybody's going to have some ultimates here soon. Nice deflect out of Alu, able to keep this flank clean from those deadly stickies, and Carter's already picked up a kill. Here comes Blobfish in with the Gravitic Flux. That got Destiny. Sound barrier is way late from Klonkpog, but you know what? Maybe they can still get it done. They still need to get kills. They need to get now, and Alu delivers. Finds the dash in onto Crazy Cat. That OWCS flex support no longer in the fight. In fact, Alu finds both of the supports in the back line. All damage permanent here onto the remaining Crimrun and Blobfish. Crimrun's going to pop that duplicate. A little extra sustain on the point. We're getting an orbital ray invested from Sortex as well. I mean, they are able to get Blobfish with it. And again, ISU Shikigami was building up percentage this whole time.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know that SNHU Sapphire really needed to commit to that fight. They're only letting Shikigami U just continue and get that out. They did get the orbital laser, which is big. So now for SNHU, you have window, you have both your support ultimates up. You can survive in the longer fight.
A little extra speed boost off of that dead eye. That was fun, but it didn't result in much. In fact, Carter struggling to stay out of the lava. Oh no, Helios picks him off with the Cheeto. Gets stuck in a vortex for a moment, pops the overload, and just goes full bore onto this objective, getting right in the face of Destiny. Might have been ill-advised. Alu was there to back him up, had a little bit of a hidden ninja there, didn't recognize it. Alu gets a pair of kills on top of it. Alu's got 3 in this fight. Ooh. That was impressive. Here comes the Lucio to buy even more percentage.
Yeah, 86. I mean, that's still great for Shikigami. That's basically one fight.
Fantastic.
So Yeah, that's the best case scenario. You really are thrilled with that. That's one fight by the end of it, and you're leading in ults. You have your Annihilation. You have a Blade. You have plenty of tools to survive this next fight. Considering Crazy Cat only has Window, and that's going to have to be used defensively, you can just rush point and force them into your space control ultimates.
That's exactly what Shikigami you are doing. Destiny getting very aggressive in here, knowing they have the Annihilation. But first, you got to survive through this Gravitic Flux. And Blobfish is not letting that happen. Carter has responded with 2 picks in the back. So, +1 to Shikigami, despite missing their tank. Blobfish hang on here. It's just firing in all directions, trying to keep all these targets at bay. And yeah, Alu comes in to pick up 2 with the Katana. And the Dragon Blade will deliver the point back into Shikigami-Yu's hands.
Well, just well played, recognizing that there's no sound barrier. They would have used it by now. It was safe to send in the Blade, and I don't even think they see the Torb. Torb's not in a space to touch. It's going to be, they're going to give up their lives just to even touch your Bullskunk.
And it's exactly what One Trick does. They get the yellow bar going, but now not getting any closer to that sound barrier, and Klonkpox got one in the pocket. And Shikigami-Yu already have player advantage. Just being exacerbated here as Alu continues to dance all over the village of Nepal and cause problems for everybody in their wake. Shikigami-Yu, we're going to close this one out in 2. They'll take the 1-0 lead and take Nepal.
A very good form, too, as well. Just a great recognition of what they needed to play on the different submaps. And both that ball comp and the more brawly comp both looked very, very well. Especially setting up a lot of these DPS players like Carter, who had a phenomenal, pretty phenomenal game here on this first map 1. I mean, that's not shocking. Like I'm praising ISU, but like, is anybody really surprised? Like, this program does this. They generate great players, even from people who we aren't seeing on stream. Even people who are just there for practice scrims, like, they generate good players. You learn so much from the squad, and you can see it in their play. They are just so fine-tuned for an academy team. SNHU Sapphire is doing a great job of, trying to contest with that, but it feels like what they maybe expected or what they thought was going to be successful, like this Torb from Helios, just kind of isn't working out in their favor. So it might be time to consider what else we have in our bag if we are SNHU.
I love how you brought up that, the ISU just kind of breeds talent. I reached out to Aeroplane, who manages, ISU has managed their Overwatch teams for some time now, and is also one of the owners, I believe, of Shikigami.
Yes.
And I was asking her, like, why this, this historic move? We've never seen anything like this before. And she was talking about how they really wanted to get back into player development and really it's what the squad is, what the Shikigami brand has always been about, and really encouraging these players to interact more, to develop more. And so they just churn out top tier talent over there, that ISU squad.
Yeah, they really do. That's nothing on SNHU, because SNHU has several very solid players across their time at NECC.
Oh yeah.
It's just really hard when there's an ISU pedigree in your face, and you got to play up against that. The consolation for SNHU is, well, you get a mode pick and a map choice, so we'll be waiting for that to come in, but it is so hard for SNHU to really, like I said, like, I really want to see what else they've got here, because the Torb is okay. The Torb is, like, we've all known, like, Torb is, like, in a decent spot, but it really does shine when you're trying to deflect flankers, when you're trying to deter dive comps and things like that. And while that worked for submap 1 versus Shikigami-Yu, I don't think it found the same success as just having the raw firepower of, like, a Sojourn or a Cassidy on your bench.
Right. And I think it's far more useful against a Hazard, which is more of a direct approach, do a lot of burst damage as Hazard's strength. Yeah. And that's where the Torb shines. The armor is particularly good against Hazard shotguns, since it's gotten reverted back a few months ago into how it behaved in Overwatch 1. So it's taken half damage, when Torb is in that armor form. And Torb is the only DPS that has armor, right? Like, that's a very powerful thing. But against a Wrecking Ball that's strength is more in its mobility and its disruption. It's not about deflecting this burst damage. It's about being able to keep the Wrecking Ball off of your backline and have the speed to punish when the Wrecking Ball is vulnerable. And that's something that Torb just doesn't have.
No, not as well as something like, this is why you see Brig all the time on the back lines. It's why you see an Ana half the time when that comes out. So,
or even an Echo. An Echo can be so good at punishing a Wrecking Ball.
Oh, yeah, those big – it doesn't matter. That big, chunky health pool just immediately melts when that beam comes out, especially after the buffs. We did get Escort, so we do at least know where we'll be going, a little bit of a different look. Escort is a bit of a different beast, so that does tell me that maybe we're going to try to play one of two – like we're going to play either very, in your face or very vertical, depending on the map pick. Because there's a lot of very vertical maps like Dorado and things like that that really demand like a Winston. But you could also just straight run it down Havana or Rialto if, just trying to force it down mid is the way to go. I don't even know that that's, either lends to an advantage for SNHU, but the map pick I think is really going to tell us exactly what it's going to be. Shambali is banned out, so ISU's fearing the ground game.
I was trying to see if I could pull up the map pool for this season. I don't see it. Just a quick click. I'm sure it's not far. I'm just not looking. I was hoping I could look at our options, but it's all right. We'll figure it out soon enough. Okay. So it is the competitive pool. Okay, interesting. I know we've been seeing a lot of Nepal lately. Has been a huge go-to pick, and a way where you can avoid kind of that straight push. Oh,
okay. No, I respect this.
I really like this, and this is a map I hadn't seen in a hot minute.
Yeah, I think when we all kind of got bored playing Sigma, we all kind of forgot about Circuit Royale. But look, Circuit Royale's fantastic. If Blobfish's Sigma was very phenomenal. So if your goal is to enable your tank to do something, this is a great spot to it. I just really now have to wonder: do Crimrun and Helios have the do they have the hit scans, kind of the long-range heroes that need to be in with this? Because we've seen that out of Carter and ISU.
You would think so. I mean, if you're picking Circuit Royale,
I have to.
You would. Yeah, I mean, I think you're showing a vote of confidence in your DPS just from this pick alone. I would think, but it also in Blobfish's Sigma. I think that was definitely a great shout. Yeah. We saw Blobfish have come up with first ult there in that what was that on Village where Blobfish did so much damage in that opening fight, was like 85% to ult after one fight and was ahead of all the supports in the lobby. That's very indicative of how good they are at landing those hyperspheres and keeping that long range pressure down. So it could just be trying to feed into Blobfish's strengths. We'll see.
And I don't hate that. I actually think that's probably the smartest thing you could do. It does force ISU Shikigami EU into, again, probably one of those dive not particularly great here on Circuit Royale. It is very narrow, very long, so you don't have spaces to go and set up for dives. You can't get flankers around here. So I do think this is a very strategic pick that works in their favor. The question is, what do they pair it with? And is Carter going to stay hot when they have another DPS, another long-range DPS in their face?
And do we end up in a Widow battle, who has that kind of long-range hit scan in their pocket? I've seen Circuit Royale maps where it's just a matter of one team just doesn't have a good Widow, and that's it. They're just on the back foot the whole time. We've also seen Brawly comps and Rush comps work on Circuit as well. Using sim strats to kind of circumvent the long, narrow sight lines and try to bounce around in a Ramatra comp or something like that to try to close the gap. So there are some other options. We're not necessarily heading into a double sniper poke battle here, but only time will tell. Obviously, we're just guessing at what the teams might do. We got to wait and see what they actually show us. We're getting ready to head into this map, too. Shikigami up 1-0 in this Division 2 matchup. See if Sapphire can bring it back here on their map pick.
No player changes either, so very, very certain in their starting squads here, and can't blame them. They're all playing very, very well. They're all playing at their peak. SNHU. I always liked the. It makes sense with Crazy Cat on your team. The Zen BAP backline is so strong. It's so diveable, but it's so strong when you need to put out extra power.
Blobfish and One Trick are going, why couldn't we have perks right now?
Yeah, right.
I want to fly.
I want to fly right now. Get me onto them high grounds.
One Trick just yearns to soar.
Oh my gosh, if only. Yeah. As expected, though, Carter is going to show us the Widow. But they are going to also match the Zen backline, which just makes sense. This is just classic. I love this because this is almost like a knowledge check in some ways. Do you remember how to play Circuit Royale? Do you remember the comp that was good here? And I think this is a great look for both of these teams. They're both handling it very well.
Very smart rollout to get Carter across the gap. And we are seeing Sapphire with no long-range hit scan. I talked about how I've seen that be a real detriment here on circuit. And with Sapphire's map pick, it does surprise me a little bit. We'll see if Helios is able to maintain with Carter controlling these long sight lines right now. I mean, anybody stepping out in front of Carter could just end up back in spawn in a heartbeat.
Yeah, I mean, you do have Helios who is, contesting slightly, but it's not as good. The Helios has to put themselves out in the open. And now that they're giving away this corner for free, they have to back up and they have to play them into this corner because SNHU will have the better sightlines if they give them this corner.
Klonkpog playing very close up here. I feel like it's just taunting Crimrun a little bit. You saw, hey, Carter, it's the second time we've seen you miss a grapple. All right, get it together.
Yeah, come on.
Come on now. But I really do. I think Klonkpog is playing so close. It kind of baited Crimrun in on a dash. We saw Crimrun take a ton of damage there. Very aggressive positioning out of Klonkpog and Sortex at the moment. Now Klonkpog, ooh, lucky to get out of that one in one piece. There's the shot, and Destiny is going to fall. The supports had to back up and find safety, and it left Destiny vulnerable.
It does. Oh, what a volley from one trick as well, just to put that in there. Beautifully done. Yeah, like you said, this is that corner where it's very tough to get an angle off of, and it does force, it forces one trick. It forces Klonkpog to really take, those angles. You can't just stick your Sigma out in, out in the wide open, or they will get surrounded and eaten alive. So, just a great map understanding from SNHU to play this. They have window, but Klonk has the. Klonk has the Transcendence. Wow, that's a sentence I've not said in forever. Klonk has Transcendence, so they are prepared for when this Flux comes out. It'll get matched by one trick, but with Alu now going over to the Sojourn, Crimrun has the advantage here. They should be up one more ult overall if they can just find value in a longer fight.
I mean, Shikigami won a longer fight. They need to poke this out. They've got to open Carter up, give Carter time to kind of set up some angles. And Matrix from both sides. Destiny goes down immediately. Carter's going to have zero time. Everybody's already critical. Crimrun is dashing through behind the Ant Matrix to pick up Alu. Oh, I know you thought about Bladen. I know you thought about pulling it out.
Look, there was all those plus signs. He knew it. He could feel it, but not the time.
No, it was a wise move. I just say I know Crimrun thought about it.
Yeah. Minute 30, probably going to be the last fight now. Sights from Carter are going to try to see and catch any mistakes out.
That's a long-range Flux to get out Transcendence. I actually like that. Dropping it from range and got enough people with it. So Destiny able to get the Transcendence out of the pocket. Now they could push aggressively with Klonkpogs. Well, once they fend off the incoming Flux from Blobfish. Blobfish below half health, backing up around the corner, and Shikigami have picked up some real progress here. They're able to get Carter set up on these long sight lines. Crimrun immediately shot down. Klonkpog gets the headshot, and the Dragon Blade goes right back to spawn.
Ooh, shades of Jonak here with this Zen just absolutely winning out duels. I mean, one trick not to be outdone, but the Shikigami will get it across the line, and again, it was just a bit more of an understanding of how to balance these ults. Remember, these are slower fights, so when and how you use these ults really, really impacts your ability to sustain in a longer fight. And Shikigami now with Alu matching the overclocks. It's going to come down to positioning here. Whoever has the more... Oh, okay.
Oh, that Destiny was so far up. I was wondering why we got such an early OC, but Destiny was right in front of the hotel. With the Discord on them, Destiny's still below 100 health. Crimrun finds that finish. Now the circle in. Blobfish able to just force the squishies away. What a great defensive maneuver there out of Sapphire, capitalizing on an overextended Destiny.
Yeah, I was just about to say, if Destiny wasn't overextended, we would have seen a battle for these sight lines for the Sojourns, but now we're just going to see Alu come back and try to get some value out of these, while Crazy Cat has to try to do their best impression. Excuse me?
Woo! That was gorgeous. Great catch. Oh, my. Carter finds a highlight-worthy shot. That was spectacular.
Yeah, beautiful hook shot. Also sent in Crazy Cat's window there.
Yeah.
Trying to play it, kind of just play him a little bit aggressively, but not the case. Shikigami need to move fast here. There's no Transcendence online, and they just have the ults. They win out in the longer fight.
Shikigami take a little bit too long, at least, to beat the Transcendence. But Destiny seems okay with that, as we're going to open with the overclock here instead of the Gravitic Flux. After that kill, Destiny's going to go ahead and invest their ultimate, see what they can find with it. Coming up over the wall, Blobfish finds Alu, and I don't think the Flux found anything. Blobfish is low, responds with their own ultimate. Transcendence out from Klongpong to try to get this going, despite having Alu missing in the fight. 4 strong, the Ant Matrix comes down out of Sortax. Destiny uses that to a great advantage. That plus a Discord, and Blobfish just disappeared before our very eyes.
Ooh, yeah. Costly, but it does keep the cart moving. One Trick did manage to hold on to Transcendence, so it may get used to, say probably not going to get used to touch.
It is!
Oh, it is?
I actually
okay.
don't blame them, because you can hold
either.
here. It's such, that'll be map. That'll be map, so it's a high-risk investment from Sapphire, but they also have the overclock to work with. Infrasights are up for Carter for another 7 seconds or so, and then I would expect to see Helios go right back on the attack. There's Helios taken out of the fight!
Wow.
Klongpong! What an outstanding play, as we've seen both of our Zenyatas just make some top-tier moves. Crimrun taken down by Alu here, and Shikigami have the +1. Destiny at full strength, and you got One Trick way off on a flank of that left-hand side. Picks up Alu on that crazy off angle with Blobfish down. I don't know if there's anybody left to anchor this cart. Crazy Cat just doesn't have the health. Helios trying to step up, I believe it was. One Trick still floating around back here. I mean, props for trying to hang on. The Blade is ill-advised. That is a 1v... never mind.
Whoa.
But, okay, so y'all tried to prove me wrong. Is Helios? No way!
What?
Helios hangs on? Wait a minute, I was so wrong,
the reinforcements are there. The reinforcements in the time, Bull Skunk.
Crazy Cat gets a kill on the Carter. Alu is low. Crazy Cat gets Alu as well. SAH, you really make this hold?
Wow.
I am in complete disbelief. I am so sorry, Crimrun. I was not familiar with your game.
I'm sorry, SNHU. I was not familiar with any of that game. Every single decision there, was, I'm going to be nice, was questionable. Every single decision there was questionable.
I was okay with the Transcendence. The Blade, I was like, come on, man, you're 1v5 in here. And no, Crimrun was like, oh, yeah.
No, Crimrun got bad. But like,
hold my beer. Hold my adult beverage, excuse me.
But I could also make the case, Jeff, for not sending in Trance and just saying, all right, let's just stop them in 3. We know we can do it. But like every decision arguably was really questionable, but every single one paid off. And sometimes you have to take a high risk, high reward decision like that. And that's why SNHU is such a fantastic team. That's why they've moved themselves up into Division 2 and are still climbing, looking for greater heights. Man, what a wild attack segment.
And if that doesn't invigorate your comms and your squad, I don't know that anything. Well, you know that Sapphire squad is just lively as could be in this spawn room right now. And they are ready to come out with a vengeance to try to tie up this series.
Gosh, I mean, you have to top it. You only have to complete B segment, which isn't impossible, but you know, Shikigami Yu did show us more of that, you know, traditional double hit scan, kind of a more long range look for it. But it's hard when both of these Zenyatas have been looking very, very good and making so much value. Shikigami's gonna put their money on the Juno instead here, play for the amp, play for the laser. So a little bit more aggressive of a take, considering you are trading a better ultimate for lamp.
Let's see if it pays off for them. And can they close the gap on Carter?
True.
Carter has good sidelines down, and Blobfish already finished off by Alu. And with no long-range hit scan, I think it's kind of up to One Trick. We saw One Trick get the better end of Carter on the defense, but not on this attack, at least not yet.
Yeah, I mean, the other option is you have to try to figure out how to send Crimrun back that far, and that is just not something you can really do. Helios might be able to get a rail, but it's still going to lose a lot of power by that point. So, like you said, it's just going to kind of come down to, can you poke and capitalize on an error for the side of SNHU Sapphire?
Or even just put enough pressure on the tank to maybe gain some space, see if you can get Crimrun on that top left side. We're seeing some good damage in both Klongpong and Destiny at the moment, but not enough to force them out of their little position. Destiny's still holding quite close. You see Blobfish working up this left-hand side. Indeed, trying to just take away some map control, take away this high ground from Klongpong and Carter. There's the slide out from Alu. The Creation doesn't land, but you're seeing Shikigami Yu forced to back up, and Destiny may have been late on that one, may have not gotten the middle in time as they seem caught out here, stuck in no man's land, and there's a big opening for Sapphire.
Great read, great acknowledgement, and great just acknowledgement that Destiny was caught out again. That's happened in previous moments on this map. Great shot from Carter, though, man. Yeah, just got great understanding that this is about movement. This is about map control and about forcing someone to stay too long in a position they want. They get point A relatively quickly, but they pay for Olu.
I mean, Olu gets Crazy Cat's Ant Matrix out.
Yeah, that's big. That's something.
So that's actually that's actually pretty good. That's actually pretty good. That's an uncommon mistake from Crazy Cat, to be honest. Maybe thought there was gonna be a full re-engaged. So maybe it was just a nice little feint from Olu, like, "Oh, we're all coming." Nope, it was just me. Never mind.
Gets trance. That's big.
That's one of the defensive tools out from Shikigami Yu. They have 4 more to work with, and they're going to use that orbital ray as more of an aggressive approach, closing the gap down and just run up onto Sapphire. But Sapphire, you know what? They have a little bit of tranquility in their own right. A little peace of mind now. Oh, but is there anything to respond to Destiny's Flux? One Trick is able to find Olu once again, finding the range on that Zenyatta, who needs a sniper when you've got One Trick, and they're able to survive through the Gravitic Flux, not having a trance. So looking good here for Sapphire as they approach the door of the hotel.
Sights are up for Carter, though, as it's coming to the last corner here, and Helios now has the better angle and rails up. So, I mean, this cart could cross the line and without even a touch here, Bullskunk.
Especially with Destiny so low, Carter's already down, and that's exactly what's going to happen. Sapphire cruise into a 1-1 scoreline.
A+ read from them, just to recognize, look, we want to play Sigma. We don't think they can beat our Sigma. We have a great Baptiste. And apparently One Trick's hero is a Zenyatta, which I wouldn't have guessed that. But, great read, just great acknowledgement that, look, we have the pieces to win on this map and in this fight. Let's make them play our game of Overwatch. And they earned it. I mean, it was just phenomenally done. Shikigami Yu put up a great effort, but it just seemed like SNHU Sapphire, this seems like something they had practiced so long. This is the kind of meta they live for. It's just unfortunate for them that there's not a lot of places you could really get away with this.
Well, we're going to come back. It'll be push. It'll be Shikigami's map pick when we return. We'll see you back here for map 3 in just a minute. All right, friends. I got to pose a question for you here. Would you ever pick Circuit Royale if you don't have a Widowmaker player? Because that's exactly what Southern New Hampshire did. And, well, I mean, lo and behold, they had a sniper in the back line in the form of One Trick. But my goodness, I was questioning that when we went into it. What a performance out of Southern New Hampshire there in Map 2.
Yeah, just phenomenal. Again, like I had said, I'd sung their praises beforehand. Just a great read of understanding what their comp and what their hero pools are better at. But moving over to push, Jeff, is where this gets a little bit tricky, especially when what was banned out would have probably been better for you. New Queen Street actually might have been a little better for the Sigma comp, but on Esperanza, you can't necessarily get away with Sigma, not until he flies. Once he starts flying, maybe we can talk about it, but this is the home of dive on push, so really just flipping the table on SNHU Sapphire. So ISU Shikigami really using the map pool to their advantage.
And we've seen all kinds of dive on this map. I mean, it could be Winston Devo, Wrecking Ball, Hazard, all of the above work on this map.
Yeah.
Because it's essentially who can win control of the high ground and then roll that momentum into the checkpoint and then into the yellow bus street.
Yeah, a lot of this is, again, like a map control kind of dependency, and that's what Dive does very, very well, is they fight and contest for these high grounds and then use them to collapse on those hard-to-get-to backlines. But, SNHU's Sigma comp kind of does that. The problem is it can't contest high grounds as well, so it does make it a little bit more difficult to do that. I wouldn't be shocked if they did. Oh, okay, never mind. I was going to be shocked if they did that, but the Junker Queen is also a decent look if you want to try to play similarly to a poke comp like a Sigma. I do like that. Shikigami U, I mean, the Hazard makes sense. It's Dive. Hazard's still very good. Going to be an interesting clash of these tanks because one side, Shikigami U, is very, very more vertical, and SNHU has a lot more speed on their side.
I love the Junker Queen pick here.
Yeah.
Just for if you're going to play Brawl, go fast and try to trade back lines.
Yeah.
Like, that's how it's going to work against the Hazard. The JQ can actually control the Hazard a little bit and is decent against the Hazard, but I think it's going to be more of SNHU trying to play fast here and see if they can outpace.
Carter on the Cassidy is an interesting look, too. It tells me they want to play a little bit more defensive, as if they're going to play a little bit more protective of the team, but you don't necessarily need to be. So we'll see how effective, or if they even stay on this. They might swap off, after this first fight.
Yeah, I was interested. Both teams pulling out with the cast, so no Sojourn here in this opening fight. Destiny takes a lot of damage early, not able to stage. And that's exactly how you deal with a Hazard. Don't let them get it on you. By the time that they're staged up, they have no health. Great pull there for Blobfish, and showed us they got a pretty mean Junker Queen as well.
Yeah, as I say, Blobfish continues to impress me. I was, as a fellow Sigma enjoyer, really enjoyed the skill quality on that, but showing they have a lot of chops on the Junker Queen as well. Very important here, and now just getting pressed up while the bot moves. Still staying on these Cassidys. It does have the stun, so it kind of makes sense when you just want to run things down and make sure your team can get onto somebody.
Sapphire are going to go ahead and back up and protect this high ground. Destiny try to get in range. So they can just violent leap onto somebody. They want to go high ground, you're going to go on to the point. You see the drop down from Helios. That's a good target, but the Suzu is fantastic there out of Crazy Cat. And now we've got checkpoint picked up here from Sapphire and a $130 and a Kitsune Rush here to send Shikigami back to the hills.
Just say interesting, they just gave it up for free, and their SNHU are still just getting pushed for free.
Here comes the sound barrier now in to fend off Carter's Deadeye. Ooh, that could be a couple skulls there. The deflect is up, turn to the corner. Blobfish just eats that one right to the gut. And Shikigami U are finally starting to get some kills here, but another Deadeye going the other direction means Destiny has to just fly out of there.
Yeah.
Ooh, what a Luke hit dash out in time.
I mean, it was a right call, and bot still hanging on the... It's downpour? Wow, I don't know about that one, Bull Skunk.
Carter gets the shot in, but before the downpour even lands, Cameron's able to finish off what was left. Yeah, that was a two-player downpour out of Destiny. And they're sticking with the Hazard as well. They just thought they could turn it there. Maybe saw something there, but Sapphire looking indomitable here so far.
Yeah, looking phenomenal here. Rampage coming up in addition to a Blade, so it's really on Sortex to make sure they have Cleanse for this, because Sound Barrier, you don't want to have to commit Sound Barrier if you don't have to for this Rampage.
It's going to be a blade coming out from Alu with the sound barrier to bolster it. Alu was so low on health. That was huge. The Rampage did hit Destiny, and they will get cut down. Kind of a broken fight here at the end, and a couple kills going either direction, but a late kill on the Klongpog. And it looks like Sapphire might be able to get some more meterage out of this. Yeah. Crazy Cat with their second ultimate. Crazy Cat built up 2 Kitsune rushes in 3 minutes.
I mean, that's crazy. That's so much damage. That's so much healing out of all of it. Kitsune Blade with the High Noon, if you even need it, is just phenomenal. They'll give up some space for now, but there's nothing to stop any of these ults, Bull Skunk. This should be SNHE running over, hopefully without an overcommitment of ults.
Particularly with that kill on the Klongpog, so you've taken some of the speed out from Destiny, some of the disengage ability, so this Deadeye could just be lethal. Yeah, there's no aim speed to get you out of there. Destiny's just stuck. Now with the take on, here comes the 6th gear of Sapphire running to the spawn doors of Shikigami and picking up kills all along the way.
I mean this in the nicest way possible, but Shikigami, you just look lost. It feels like they've been on the back foot, and it's going to be dueling. It's just going to be every ult out now. Oh!
Just whatever they've got. Blobfish is going to find Carter before they're able to pull the trigger on the Deadeye. There is a Kitsune Rush here, the last bastion of hope for Shikigami, but they're running out of reinforcements. Klongpog and Destiny both watching a respawn timer. Wow. And that is just going to be the map.
Wow.
Yeah, me too.
That was
impressive.
I don't know what else to say to this. Like, that was just a phenomenal adaptation. Just top to bottom. I don't think they dropped. I didn't drop a single fight. I don't think they lost a single fight in that entire.
They barely lost players.
Yeah.
I don't think they lost a player until we started hitting like the yellow bus section, until well after that second fight, and they'd already gotten the checkpoint. I don't think they dropped a single player even at that point.
Yeah, and it feels too easy to just write this off and be like, oh, it's just a comp mismatch. Because admittingly, there are pieces of this where you look and go, well, like the dive into Cassidy probably isn't great. Dive into Junker Queen's not fantastic, but it's not just that. SNHU just performed incredibly well here. You know, Crazy Cat was building up ultimates like it's their job. I mean, it is, but it quite literally, like, wow. I don't have high level color analysis for this. That was just SNHU just winning, just absolutely winning on the battlefield and showing that they want to. They want this win. They want to make a statement to ISU.
That was a statement of a map.
Yeah.
That's the kind of map that I was talking about, how big plays can liven up your squad and really bring some energy to your team. That was the kind of map that can silence your opponent.
4 minutes 20 seconds was the cap time. 4 minutes and 20 seconds. I don't know what the NECC record is, but if that might be close. That's pretty close.
I would love to know what the how many final blows she had on that, because it had to be less than 10, if not
10,
single digit, and unless on your hand, like less than 5, single hand numbers. I mean, they got a few more at the end, so I'm saying it was probably 8 or 9 by my eye test before it was all said. I mean, like, it was a clinic. It was an absolute clinic, and that backline looked astonishing. I mean, that backline just woke up. One trick and Crazy Cat. Holy cow. I
feel bad for doubting them. Like, we came into Esperance and we're like, oh, this is a dive map. Like, maybe they'll falter here. No, absolutely just decided we are going to win. And, well, okay, we get a flashpoint now. So, not a lot of maps for this. And now I'm incredibly concerned for ISU because that Junker Queen was phenomenal.
And Junker Queen is so powerful.
That was so good.
Yeah. It was so good. Blobfish. Yeah. Okay. We see you. We see you. Okay.
Respect on the name.
Respect on the name. And especially once you start going into the perk era.
I
mean, both the Sigma and the Junker Queen have some pretty strong perks as well. Oof, looks like Southern New Hampshire are in a pretty good spot here. But you know what? Let's not get too ahead of ourselves.
Yeah.
We're not done. We're not done. This isn't a 1st to 2. There's still... You got to play them all out for a reason. Definitely time for ISU to bring this one back. And again, I don't know. We're headed in one of their map picks, but this is probably the least impactful map pick. So it's just scratch that.
Yeah.
Never mind.
I mean, well,
they still have a chance, so I'm giving them hope.
Oh, yeah, no. Well, and, like, the good news for them is that there's no ban. It's just you get to pick what we play. It's very likely we're not going to New Junk City. Like, we're just straight up not. If they pick New Junk City, I don't know. But, like, I don't imagine that's a decision they want to make. So, like, I guess that's your consolation. But knowing that you just got pretty beat up by that Junker Queen comp, it's now going to come down to, again, just kind of manipulating the field of how you want it to play. A place like Saravasa, which is obviously, of course, where we're going to be going to, there's not a question in my mind. Right. You know, you do have a few more angles, so it does open up for players like Carter, for Alu to, you know, flex to kind of get back into those back lines, to flank a little bit more, and then to use the sight lines to make sure they have those, which we've seen SNHU struggle with. So this is probably your best chance to kind of go back to what your fundamentals are and swing this back in your favor, because you cannot let that stomp live in your mind rent-free right now.
Right. Yeah, it's going to take a big shift. Or at least that's what I would imagine. I mean, you know, going back into more of the dive comps or something would be my guess for what we're going to see coming out from Shikigami here. There is that availability. You can play the Wrecking Ball dive on Saravasa. And you got to do something to counter out that Junker Queen. The Junker Queen,
yeah.
My goodness, that was a tour de force. That is going to require an answer.
Absolutely. And you already were playing a couple of those answers, so I do think that, you know, you have the pieces there. You're already playing the Kiriko, so you have a cleanse for that. You're already playing the Lucio. You just kind of need to remember how to, the last couple of metas were very about disengaging and engaging and when to take fights. So it's kind of like, okay, let's just shuffle back a little bit. Let's remember how to disengage, how to use our cooldowns to make sure we can manage what they're throwing at us, because that is a hyper rush comp. They will throw multiple speeds at you to make sure they get on you, and it's your job to make sure that they burn all their cooldowns before you respond.
And that is the name of Flashpoint as well, as it is on push. But we're talking about cooldown management and rotations. Like those things are key for how you set up and being able to control these small, very close quarters objectives that we see on Saravasa, and then making the rotations around, not just in between flashpoints, but to disengage from ults and kind of find the correct angles in. It's going to be Shikigami. You're going to win it. They're going to have to do it on the back on some great cooldown management.
Yeah, 100%.
And just fundamentals, as I think Ken kind of mentioned, just fundamentals.
Yeah, because a lot of this is, like you said, a lot of it is just making sure that you play as the team. You make sure you reset appropriately. You make sure you're tracking your cooldowns and your ultimates, because you can't necessarily track that Crazy Cat's going to build a Kitsune Rusha that quickly, but that is something. And we do have a sub coming in for ISU. Interesting. Arise is going to come in for Carter.
Oh.
So the hit scan player out.
Right. I wonder if this is going into maybe a double flanker look.
Yeah, I could absolutely see, if you want to run the hazard, I could absolutely see like a Tracer Genji or a Tracer Sombra, a little bit more fringe, but it does still find you that same level of value. But I mean, Arise has some big shoes to fill in that regard, because Carter has done some pretty phenomenal work on that hit scan roll. And again, this has to be calculated, right? Like, I don't imagine on match point you're swapping in, your second flex support, your one of your backup players, or just giving somebody time. So this has to be I imagine maybe a tracer specialist that you're bringing in here.
That would make sense. And we are seeing the hazard comp right out of the gate, so that would reinforce that theory. Looking at the other side, while Rise is still making that decision, Blobfish immediately locking in that Junker Coin as expected.
Yeah.
I mean, again, headed into this big map forward, Sapphire looking to close out, a win against an undefeated opponent. I think it's a smart move for Shikigami to find an answer to what works so well for you in map 3.
Yeah, considering that's going to be what's across from you, you have to do it. Rise and Helios going to go ahead and lock the Sojourn. It'll be a pretty similar comps minus the tanks. So, again, watch for SNHU to push the tempo and really try to force these fights to happen sooner based on their speed, whereas Destiny might poke a little bit before trying to collapse on the other side.
And that idea is just reinforced by they come up through main. They don't try to battle for stairs. So Sapphire take the first move, and Crewman goes to take that high ground away from Alu. Finding that pick immediately. Shikigami, we're hoping to get a Rise up onto that high ground, get some of that initial poke that you were talking about, but Sapphire gave him no time.
Yeah, no, Sapphire is playing a much faster game, and I think that's something that worked in their favor and is what kind of got them that previous map.
Now they're going to take the fight all the way out to the streets here. Zortex uses the Suzu and is able to keep Shikigami nice and healthy through that bit of an ambush. And now they're looking to return fire, but they're going to do so slowly. It's going to be a push up to the side. The rest of the team rotating around main. Rise trying to find an angle from this outside, but has slowed down for a moment.
For now, but Zortex is nearing the initial Kitsune rush, and that first Kitsune rush will basically decide a lot. But with Destiny down, I don't know that you're even going to commit it here.
Destiny gets caught out. The Jagged Blade lands. That card will be the end of Arise. There's a couple of people trying to back cap here, but you hit the nail on the head. With Destiny falling, that Shikigami can't afford to invest anything into this.
No, and this is coming into a last fight. There'll be a touch, but this is going to be a very, very awkward fight. The rest of the Shikigami U will be there in time, but it's likely going to start with Alu putting pressure on the point here. So if Alu falls early, this fight may be just good as done.
Quick push from the high ground. Crazy Cat drops in the Kitsune rush simultaneously here with Sortex from Shikigami. Destiny up to the high ground and Arise is just dead. Fish is able to move in and get one.
Jeff?
Yes?
No one touched the point.
That is unfortunate.
No one touched the point, Jeff.
That is unfortunate. Why didn't we touch the point? Why didn't we touch the point?
Why did we... I get it. We want to dislodge the Sojourn, but guys, please, there's an objective. I beg of you. Please, touch the objective.
Guys, the point! Alright, so we're headed to, what is this one, Ruins?
Ruins, I believe.
Bluff is trying to bait everybody into this short little hallway. I mean, just would be easy pickings for a Rampage. Destiny leaping over the top, is able to find Helios, throws down the downpour and catches Blobfish with it. The Soundblader late there from one trick. And Shikigami Yu able to turn things around here in the second. Okay.
Oh, late sound barrier too.
I mean, you match one trick on the other side. So Clunkpog is staying in sync with that. I don't hate it.
I don't hate it, but I'm not crazy about it. I feel like you probably were already ahead in the fight. You might have want to have saved it. If you've been tracking, you know that Rampage is coming up, and now puts a lot more pressure on Sortex to have a cleanse or avoid it to make sure they can. So like it's you know, you threw out the secondary parachute in a lot of ways, but I don't. You're right. I don't hate it.
You do make such a good point. Like, what are you gonna do to fend off this Rampage, especially with Clunkpog dead? Rise is gonna fall as well. Hey, there's a little bit of a clap back. Okay. It's going to be a 3v2 here, favoring Sapphire on the point. Shikigami going to try to buy as much as they can. Destiny low on health, just has to poke in from the outside. Can't afford to use that lunge sub 100 health. And this should just be the flow.
Well,
Destiny's still lurking.
Okay.
Ooh. Okay. Alu catches Helios on the slide out. And, I mean, a well-timed re-engage. We talked about fundamentals. That was very fundamentally sound.
Yeah, that was very, very good. Right in the last moment, you're built up, and you built up the whole way through. Shikigami now, again, in a position, you wrote out the worst of that. Crimrun has a blade, but, I mean, like, there's probably not even going to be a touch. Alu might try to cut this off, maybe hit the pulse. Nope, no touch.
At least slowed him down. But there's, as you say, there's no touch. I thought when Destiny was so low on the outside, I was like, there's no way you can't afford to leap in, but they get the healing just in the nick of time, and they're able to come re-engage. The reinforcements show up to back them up, and then a pair of great kills, Alu finding that huge pick onto Helios. Now, considering Rush has been invested in from Crazy Cat, we are just kind of out in the middle of the streets of Suravas, a very odd spot to have a team fight, but Alu's still poking it from the back. Blobfish has managed to run down the front line, though, and Sapphire are full steam ahead.
I mean, if you can force out an error here and get, you know, if you can get the point without really a contest, it would be nice, but you traded both tanks, and now that the flashpoint's open, you're kind of now taking this fight almost 4v5. Crimrun does have a blade, but you'd really rather not invest that, considering you really, that's a highest value thing you've got right now.
Kitsune Rush is going to go ahead and be invested here from Shikigami. Looks like both things have returned into this fight. Opening pick. Ooh, and a great kill from Destiny. Finds the high ground shot up top. Gets the violent leap and the finish. And Shikigami win this one out, despite first cap going to Sapphire briefly.
I didn't talk about Blobfish going over to the hazard, but I was kind of expecting that maybe this wouldn't stay. Maybe it was just for a speed thing, maybe something. But like taking the mirror is kind of the best option in some regards. Although I'm not sure you're going to outplay Destiny. It feels like you're just not, it's not your style.
Ooh, wow, that sound barrier was dangerous.
Wow.
That was so close to an AJ, and Crazy Cat's able to use it. Gets Alu. My goodness, that was a hold your breath moment there from Sapphire, but they find themselves at a +1. Now Blobfish looking to go challenge. The wall is a touch late to trap. Actually, no, Arise does end up going down. Even though it looked like it did make it past the wall. Swift step out, but Sortex very low on health. There's the downpour.
Wow.
Up top. That's got at least 2, if not the 3 remaining players in there. But Crimrun's taken down, trying to find the follow-up. Destiny returns onto the point. Sub 100 health, or at least sub half health.
I mean, very ambitious. It was a little bit blind from Blobfish to kind of just guess and hope that they were in there, but in the moment, I could see that being the right call. It's down to Helios now, who has rails. They have to get it, but there's a lot of coverage in their way.
We are going to get the yellow bar this time. A couple of good shots land on to Destiny. Helios leaps up to the high ground, puts a body shot in, but Alu finishes off Crimrun while they were up there. Dropping back down to try to play in their own Kitsune rush. Helios just slides all the way up the point. Shikigami pursues. Destiny picks Helios off in the background, in that back line. And now has a great wall, trapping Blobfish in a terrible spot. The Violet Leaf used to try to escape, but ISU, Shikigami are going to hunt you down, and they're going to take this second flashpoint. Or their second flashpoint.
I mean, though, as always, the later ults comes out on top and succeeds the fight, but I don't know, Jeff. I'm not crazy about the mirror. I kind of wish we would just go back to the Junker Queen. You showed a lot more success there. It seemed like that's a better, more comfortable character. But for right now, it's Destiny and One Trick I'm eyeing, because One Trick is gonna have to cancel out this downpour, and that's gonna leave so much more open for Shikigami to take advantage of. So Sapphire playing a little bit behind the 8 ball here. They have to get an opening pick, and Helios does it.
Oh my, that's exactly what they needed. Now, how does Sapphire choose to use the one ultimate they have? They're going to move on to this point. Okay, it's just going to be a quick disengage out of Shikigami U. They're just going to back up and see if they can get Clunkpog back into this fight. There was a brief pursuit here. Shikigami's going to spawn immediately. The Suzuki is used. Oh, the downpour does catch Blobfist. The sound barrier is invested. Clunkpog is going to hold on to theirs, try to wait for this to fade, and then see if we can respond with a beat blade perhaps into this. Shikigami U slowed their roll here.
Yeah, a great read from Shikigami. They know sound barrier's gone, so this is their go button. Alu's there.
The blade is out. One slice in, but the deflect means that Alu has to just wait. Actually, Crimrun gets the kill. There had to be a shot coming in from somebody else. They got deflected in their direction. And I believe this is a +1 for Sapphire with that kill on to Destiny. Searching for any targets remaining.
They don't really have sight lines, and it's not in a great position to poke out and try to see. But now, again, Sapphire swings the other way. They have a downpour. They're going to have to use it defensively, I think.
Shikigami just throw 3 ults into this. Rise has an overclock active. Everybody from Sapphire just duck around the corner. They let those 3 ults just fade away. Now Crimrun is going to pull out the katana in their own right, get out an early deflect, and Alu will eat the next 2 slashes. Now come in and see if they can chop some of these rocks off the hazard. But Arise is there waiting with a fully loaded rail. Oh, that's stuck in the coastal side. Shikigami are running out of room here. And running out of time. 95% there. And Sapphire are primed to send us over to a 5th and final flashpoint, especially with that kill on his Vortex. Whoop. There's the finish. Destiny and Blobfish go down. Or, excuse me, Destiny and Clunkpog, that is, go down. Did I lose my co-caster? I think I may have lost my... Yep, I think save exploded. No worries.
Hello.
Shikigami with the only ultimate online here, but you're got the support ult advantage for Sapphire. So if this fight draws out, then Sapphire should be able to build that up. You can see One Trick was getting very, very close to that sound barrier now. Got that last 15% just in a couple of seconds. He's going to give a big advantage to Sapphire come back on this point, and this first cap is so important. Big defender's advantage here on this final point.
Oh, the downpour.
Downpour in. Yep, Crimrun is able to get out. And it looks like a 2-prong approach here from Sapphire. Destiny's going to turn their attention to the squishies out front, but Crazy Cat's going to invest this Kitsune.
Oh, great disengage, too. Just acknowledging that's what we needed of Shikigami U, just to get out of the way of those.
Rise able to find a pick on that as well. Gets Crib Run on the disengage. Ooh, now with Blade, Helios kind of being gate kept out from this overclock. Is able to slide in, takes the duel. Oh, and Clockpog is there. Clockpog was the secret weapon you didn't know was on the outside. Arise finds one trick, and here's the flip from Shikigami. Oh my goodness, this one's going the distance.
Yeah, this one's going to be the full way. Shikigami, they're not going to get caught off guard again, and now with a full box, 4 of the 5 ultimates on their side, it just favors them so much. And now they have the high ground positionings. SNHU Sapphire, it's going to be so difficult for them to get any sort of approach onto this. They're going to be met in any direction. The poke is going to be so strong for Shikigami here.
Yeah, that position from Arise, it's just ridiculous. Crimron having used the deflect early. Not ideal as they're just starting to make their push in. What a Soviet's choice here for one trick with this one sound barrier, this one ultimate. Arise, hoping they can get the opening pick. The sound barrier is going to get invested. Shikigami could just wait this up, but they're going to go ahead and invest their own and just immediately try to keep this tempo up. Shikigami want to take it to the next gear, and they have the Kitsune Rush just to put that speed up to 11. Oh, a moment of hesitation. A moment to wait to try to draw Sapphire. The Kitsune Rush is invested. Back into the corner. Crimron pulls out the blade and try to bring Sapphire back. But one trick is cut down as Alu had a Dragon Blade of their own. 2, 3 slashes land, and Helios is back in spawn. Shikigami have gotten it done. Alu with a huge final fight. We're headed to a map 5.
I don't think I'd have it any other way, Jeff, with how these haymakers, these teams are throwing Shikigami on the razor's edge of a loss. Turn it back in a comp that they are familiar with. This is exactly where they wanted to be. They want to be playing Hazard. They want to be playing Dive, and they want to be enabling Alu and the rest of their DPS to succeed in the back and the chaos of it all. SNHU put up a good showing, eventually deciding to match it. I'm not again, but I don't know. Like I think they have such a unique, clear hero pool that works, that this, trying to match them feels like you're doing yourself a disjustice, like a disservice. Oh, really? We're going to show the C9 there? Really? We're going to do that?
Hey, you know what? What I want to focus on is Shikigami forced that swap. We told y'all that they had to do something to answer the Junker Queen. They had to find a solution and force Sapphire to make a change, and that's exactly what Destiny and Shikigami you were able to do on this map. Now we head into a map 5, and it feels like it is anybody's game.
Yeah, I mean, we know it's going to be a hybrid, as map 2 was an escort. We know it's going to be SNHU Sapphire's pick, and you got a little trick with getting escort. I'm sorry, with getting escort your way. I don't know that you have that same luck on hybrid though, because you can do that in the second phase once you get the capture point segment, but I don't think you're going to be able to run like a Sigma, Zen Bap like you kind of did. This still really is a coin toss. It's going to come down to the map, I think. And, wow, an immediate ban. Wow, that's not surprising at all.
No, especially we saw a little bit of high ground ban down earlier. So we are going to get the Para-ESO ban coming in from Shikigami. And like you mentioned, unsurprising.
Yeah, I feel like that's just another one of those ones that even if it wasn't banned, teams might not pick, but it does make sense. That is kind of one of those maps where you can get away with Sigma, I think, in the second and third phases a little bit more. High ground does play a very big role, but you can still get away with a lot of it.
Defensively, you can get your Sigma and Ash and whatever onto that high ground. It can be very difficult to dislodge, so understandable pick there from Shikigami.
Yeah, I agree with that completely.
Ban.
Yeah. Well, pick up ban. Yeah.
It makes total sense. I just wanted to clarify.
Fair. And I will say, Arise coming in off the bench as well was a welcome change. It seemed like Carter was playing well, but it seemed like maybe Arise is just more of a Sojourn specialist there. So I do think the swap into Arise,
I mean, they won. You can't argue with the results. They won. We did get our map pick in. Let's go ahead and take a look at that. And Sam is staring intently into my soul now. Oh, it is going to be a Midtown pick coming out here from southern New Hampshire. So I mean, a lot more ground option, and I mean, I think the Sigma could work here, or we could see the return of the Junker Queen. Either of those would work, or maybe we get something new. Maybe there's something else up Blobfish's sleeve that we haven't seen yet. We are keeping Arise in the lobby, and I think that was an interesting point that that Soav was making. Just because, I mean, we thought Carter was doing very well. I mean, we saw the cast, and Carter was having huge impact on those fights, and thought it may have been a little risky, but it had to be calculated, given the circumstances, to pull Arise in, and then sure enough. Arise with major impact on that Sojourn, and I'd have to agree, you definitely seem to be a little bit more of a Sojourn specialist, and a risky change that paid off, and Arise is going to be playing again here in map 5.
Again, it makes sense. It did swing the pendulum back that way, and considering we are, Midtown is arguably like a hallway map, but it kind of makes sense is to avoid as a means to kind of help contest against another circuit royale, as it were.
Well, looks like our teams need a few minutes to decide what to do, or I don't know, maybe they just get some hydration. Hey, hydration's important. Y'all go hydrate as well. When we come back, we're going to go to Midtown. We'll see you there in a minute. All right, looks like our players are all hydrated, ready to go. Everybody's in the lobby. We've got our map chosen. And let's get into this map 5. One final map to decide who's going to take this Division 2 matchup.
I mean, with these two heavyweights throwing haymakers like this, I can't imagine this coming to any other way. Maybe not Midtown particularly, but I'm not mad about that. I love Midtown. I think this is
Same.
This is like, to me, I've always imagined this is like the spiritual successor to Kings Row, where people really do like it. It has the same kind of a vibe as Kings Row, and it tends to be the escort of choice for or a hybrid of choice when we're not playing Kings Row.
It also kind of has a similar vibe in that, you know, you start with this kind of bit of a short walk to the
Yeah.
main point, you know. So, but you do have a little bit of high ground that the defense can play around that makes it interesting. And then in point B, you have, instead of doing a little Z turn, you know, you just have the tunnel you
high
go
ground,
underneath,
yep.
and then you go into more of an enclosed inside point. Like there's definitely some parallels between our first hybrid release of Overwatch 2 and the very first hybrid map ever created.
Oh no, not the OO wash. SNHU Sapphire doesn't surprise me. I mean, again, this is a little bit of a fragile comp because the backline is exploitable in Baptiste Zen. Like, it's a little exploitable of a comp, but this is the best comp. Like, this is arguably where they have looked the best. This makes full sense to me. And Shinkigami Yu running out on the Ramatra is pretty similar. I kind of wonder if they might see this and double back to the Hazard simply because that kind of plays better against this comp.
You'd be able to you know, kind of pounce on the weakness of that vulnerable back line with a Hazard for sure. And that's going to be the trick here, is getting in on the Zenyatta. One trick, I mean, showed us just some disgusting accuracy back on Circuit Royale. Was out sniping. The player just escaped my name. Escaped my head.
Oh, gosh.
Carter, that we had
Carter,
on the other side, yeah. Good start from the defense here.
I mean, just very solid. This is what we expected. This is a very turtled comp, and this is Blobfish's best hero paired with, you know, an incredibly strong backline. Shikigami, you're going to have to take another crack at it, but Blobfish is already 70% up to a flux already. That's wild.
That is wild. I mean, it's just landing so many of these hyperspheres. It seems like every time you're hearing the doom of the directs for every single hit. Now 96%, but it's under a lot of pressure. Immortality Field has to come out. The Nemesis punches land, and somehow Blobfish gets around the corner with a speck of life, returns with the first ultimate in the server. Is going to find two. Oh, never mind. That was a Rise dying as the Flux went off, but Blobfish ends up dead when it's all said and done. Shikigami Yu have made their way inside of the fire station here. Ant Matrix up from the defense, but they don't have enough reinforcements to stick around in this thing.
No, but they do have a trance, so this might be another send one trick onto point to stall for a minute while the rest of the team gets there. It's going to be met by a laser, and that laser should just win it out, especially if they give up this important transcendence.
They hold on to the transcendence just until the orbital ray comes out. Moving forward,
Wow.
it's beautifully done.
Wow.
Keeps everybody alive, and they find both DPS taking a Rise out of that overclock. What a retake coming in from Southern New Hampshire.
Beautifully done. Just beautifully done. Paired exactly those ultimates when they needed to. Timed everything right and got the value out of it. And now they're just back to square one. They gave up 2 ticks, and that's fine. That's enough of a win condition here to do it. Klongpog and Destiny are coming into ults. It's Annihilate and Beat. But like there's only like you're gonna get it for Crimrun's Blade. So Annihilation might be the difference maker. Helios is the one I'm watching though. They should have the angles to maybe just snipe someone out.
Crimrun not able to hold that alley side, has to fall back, even giving up Firehouse here. We're gonna see Shikigami Yu kind of take that mega control and closing the gap on Helios. Crimrun checking up top. There comes that Annihilation down low. Discord Orb thrown onto Destiny.
Ooh.
Oh, Helios immediately taken out of that overclock. Olu dashes right through, and the Annihilation will clean up what's left. That's all 5 in the kill feed. The Gong of Death rings out, and Shikigami will get this fire truck rolling.
Turns out, Jeff, you don't need a sound barrier if Alu can just absolutely run in and just destroy the Sojourn. So, fantastic. Fantastic for Shinkigami. I mean, they get to go on. They get to... Oh, Destiny again gets...
no.
Oh, Destiny, you can't do that. This hurts you in maps 1 and 2. You can't get caught out like that.
And not in such an important position here on Midtown.
Yeah.
This high ground control is everything for this second point. And you could have forced Shikigami to have to spend, or, you know, to get up there. Or, excuse me, you could have forced Sapphire to have to spend to retake that objective. As it is, they just get it for free.
I mean, you do get it for free, but, I mean, you do get a couple ultimates out.
It's going to be the A-Matrix and the Flux used early in this fight. Alu's Blade already picked up 1.
2.
There's 2.
He's not
give
done.
me some more?
He's not done. I mean, they gave it up because they recognized that it was just easy. They could just win it out in the initial fight. So maybe we were we wrong, Jeff? I think we might have been wrong there. They just acknowledged that. I mean, look, we can give this up now and retake it.
Destiny dying is just a red herring?
Yeah.
It's all just feeding false confidence into the defensive Sapphire? Is that what you're telling me? Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, I mean, that's the only thing I could see, but Blobfish going over to the D.Va makes a little bit more sense. It's faster, but that laser is going to do a lot more damage.
Yeah, but Destiny's just right in the thick of all of it.
Grimrun
has the guts to try to go in with the ultimate, fly right into that orbital ray, and just gets absolutely nada, stymied by both supports, and Klunkpaw comes in to find the finish. That's going to be 2 points on the board, over 3 minutes left in the clock.
It kind of feels like now that Shinkigami U has been pushed to the limit, it feels like now they've decided, all right, we're going to crank this up. We don't want to lose this. We know we can win this, and they want to make sure they get a completion here on Midtown. One Trick holding on to Transcendence. I mean, there's nothing really you need it for, so you can, in theory, hold this if you're SNHU Sapphire, hopefully without the Transcendence, but if you need it, it will secure you in a longer fight. Just need to make sure you get a pick before Destiny or Alu build another ultimate.
Sapphire could try to get aggressive. I mean, if anything, you just kind of send a message, win a fight here. There's no need for them to, other than setting Temple, and it looks like they're just going to wait for Shikigami to make the first move. It's the Nemesis form popped by Destiny that indicates that aggression, but Shikigami, you are also trying to build up towards their own support ultimates while this is all going on. So a bit of an early poke battle where Blobfish is slowly but surely getting forced back around the corner. With that Discord Orb, and now with an Ant Matrix, Destiny has to respect it. That's going to be the deflect out and a good disengage out of Shikigami.
Helios sends in rails?
Yeah. Yeah, OC is out. Look at this rotation. I love this. We discussed fundamental rotation earlier. Look at that drop down.
It gets
that will get your Transcendence out. Yeah, you bet.
Oh, wow. That's, I don't know about that, Jeff.
And here comes the orbital on the blade. Follow it up. You know it's coming. Oh, Alu. Helios with the big pick. Is that going to be enough? Helios themselves is not in this fight. No DPS here for this defense whatsoever. Double support ult available. And Shikigami have all the tools they need. The Flux.
Whiffs
Entirely. That's got nada. Nothing.
The laser. Surely the laser, Jeff.
Orbital Ray is in. Ollie's still returning into this fight. Destiny is trying to use the ray from space to see if they can get this cart home. Less than 3 meters to go as Crazy Cat gets battered down, and Destiny with a pair of kills in the final moments. That's 3 points in. Shikigami with a healthy time bank.
That was a very extended fight in that 3rd point segment there. Between the long rotation up to the high ground to avoid it, and then just leading into a fight, Shikigami, you really, again, just use those fundamentals, just acknowledging, okay, we got to disengage when these things happen, and then realizing SNHU has no real standing ground if they aren't set up. So they pushed aggressively, never really let SNHU Sapphire get the sightlines they wanted. They wanted to try to get it to that staircase there so that the rest of, there was a choke point, there's only so limited points that they could manage. And they would have the angles to play safely and shoot from. But since SNHU Sapphire never really got set up, they weren't really able to, just hold their ground as much as it is. Blobfish, also the few rare misses on the Sigma, those fluxes maybe under a little bit too much duress to get flux value, but it's just tough. It's tough because that comp really wants to slow the game down, and Shikigami, they brought the speed to them.
That was impressive.
Yeah.
When we talked about rotation, that was a 2-minute fight.
That was a long fight.
Disengage in that huge rotation. We talked about they entered with about 3.5 minutes. They cap with 120. That was a 2-minute, full on, honest to God, 2-minute long engagement through point C.
Yeah, and SNHU want long fights, but not like that. Not where it's constantly moving and everything is really kind of scattered and hectic. They're going to try to this on the attack as well. So expect these approaches to be very slower and methodical from them, and ISU is going to try to capitalize on any mistakes they make in these rotations.
One Trick popped off on Circuit Royale, and a big turning point here for Sapphire in this series. They could use their Zenyatta player to find an opening, particularly on this first point. Rotation around through the alley, but Crimrun has just no legs to stand on, kind of get isolated outside of the laundromat and LOS their own heels.
Yeah, and that's the problem with this Sapphire comp is it's also very exploitable, like I had said earlier. This Zen Baptiste backline is very fragile. Once you get Lamp out there, they're kind of just have to win their duels, and they are not the best at that. In fact, One Trick is going to give it up to their 2 Trick of Lucio. which, again, just makes sense. You have to kind of be a little bit faster on these rotations, otherwise you'll get caught out and punished by Shikigami Yu, who are looking for you to make a mistake like that.
I was thinking it's not even about the vulnerability of the Zen at this point. It's about the rotations.
No. Yeah, it's rotations.
So fight for this center point. Do we try to see Crimrun go back through the alley and get that hard flank? So far, all the focus has been turned on to Destiny. Sapphire definitely with a little bit of a change of style on their second attempt here on point A. Seems like all guns at the tank. Destiny and Blobfish both very close on their ultimates. It could be Sapphire trying to build up the rest of this Gravitic Flux to open this up. Helios drops, so Klonkbog decides if nobody's going to take this alley, they'll take it for themselves. Come around and pick up 2, and Olu joins them for a beautiful dash. And Shikigami had enough standing around.
I mean, yeah, Shikigami was only winning by standing around 2. They were building up ultimates the whole way through, and you could see Crimrun there trying to get an angle. You couldn't even really see where the support line was sitting, so that tells you how difficult it is. I don't even know that they're choosing to fire at this tank initially, Jeff. I think that's kind of the only target they have sightlines onto, considering they don't have the ability to rotate onto a different position.
Very wise, yeah. Makes sense. Gravitic Flux to open things up. Blobfish gets Destiny. That's the tank out.
Huge.
All right.
That's huge.
That's the first step here that Shikigami you have, that SNH you have been looking for. There's been a couple of clapbacks, and Lou dashes through 2. No. SNHU fans, are thanking their lucky stars. One Trick's able to shut that down. There still could be a recontest here, though.
Yeah, there's still one player alive, so there'll be a stop. The Sojourn's going to come in off the bench looking phenomenal there. But Destiny's back, so I don't even think they got 1 tick. That's all they can get out of this.
They got to keep the pressure on. It's the only hope for Sapphire, and they're going to beat Blade to do it. There is a sound barrier out from Clunk on the other side. But Arise, fortunately for Sapphire, doesn't find anything with that overclock. It's Helios' turn to try to open this up. Arise, low health, is going to slide jump out of there, and Helios is in hot pursuit. Moving up to the stairwell, and this beautiful sightline down. Arise isn't going to give it to you. You don't just get those sightlines for free against this Shikigami U squad. Now Destiny with the Nemesis form, just hunting supports here alongside Olu.
Oh, this was a long, drawn-out death, though, Jeff. This fight needed to be over forever ago, and I mean, now you're at 30 seconds. If you had even, gotten out of dodge or tried to get out 30 seconds ago, you can maybe extend this out. Blobfish is going to be way too slow moving to try to get here in time, and with Shikigami taking this forward stance, it's going to be even harder to get there. Destiny with Annihilation up and nothing in the way means that it's over. I don't think there's anything stopping this once Destiny presses Q.
It's going to take a pop-off moment here from somebody from Sapphire. Crimrun has to get the touch. Red Trick can't afford to leave Blobfish alone. I think it's got to be up to the Genji to get there. Somebody going. It is actually One Trick that makes a run for it. Okay. Somebody got on the point. It looked like it was actually Blobfish. The slowest hero is the one that made it onto the objective. Catches Klunkpog in the Gravitic Flux. Gets 1 kill, but Olu has yet another blade. And that could just be it. It's just 1 player left. Shikigami U, what an incredible debut here today. They will win this one out in 5, and a huge GG's in chat. What an outstanding series. Just all around. Incredible.
I can't add any more, Jeff. You said it. This was an incredible series. We saw just phenomenal play from both teams across all 5 of those maps in so many different unique takes, right? This Sigma comp from SNHU was so good, but it also kind of shows the weakness of it being very map dependent. They thought they could replicate the success they had from Circuit Royale there, and unfortunately it just didn't. It didn't happen. Maybe we could always sit here and speculate. Maybe they should have ran the Junker Queen. But Shikigami U, they took that hard loss here on maps 3 and 4 and recognized that, you know what, we can beat them. We don't have to let them control the pace of the game and decide when and where these fights are going to happen. If we just play like how we've been training in practice and how all of our coaches have been beating into our heads, we can come out on top here. We can make, Esperanza and Circuit Royale look like a freak accident, and they definitely, I don't say they did, but they definitely showed that those were just kind of outliers, I think, in their fights.
I mean, it looked done and dusted after this map. Shikigami U looked folded. Had no morale left. Obviously it's just appearances, right? Clearly they proved us very wrong. Yeah. coming back into Suravasa, where they're able to tie up the series. But it did. I mean, that was a less than 4.5 minute cap on Esperanza, and I was worried Shikigami was completely deflated.
I mean, you also have to acknowledge they sent in, they made good use of their bench, right? You can maybe even make the case that a Rise coming in off the bench for maps 4 and 5 did have a bit of an impact, because lighting up on the Sojourn was not something we had seen a lot of there. We had seen Alu find incredible value with that Genji all night, but Carter doing their best in the earlier set of the games maybe just didn't have the steam to compete in that. But this is very possibly, Jeff, like a grand finals rematch down the road. I think when you look ahead at both of these teams, this is very possibly a rematch we see in the grand finals or a semis somewhere, with how close these teams are fighting and what the metas might even be, because the future holds a lot of changes, and that could change everything about everybody's play style.
I mean, and of course, it's very early in the season. We're only in week 3. Both these teams now sitting with a 2-1 record. Wait, excuse me. No, it is. It was ISU Shikigami that came in with the 2-0. So they are now at 3-0, and Southern New Hampshire are at 1-2. But the way they played, like that's Southern New Hampshire don't look like a 1-2 team. Like just looking at how they performed here today, I could absolutely see them making it into the finals, or at the very least a deep run into the postseason.
I think if they could get a little bit more flexibility, like the Junker Queen comp was phenomenal. I think between the Junker Queen comp that they had and the Sigma comp that they have, there's a lot of things you can do with that. But I think they need to make sure they perfect those things out, because, we're seeing Brawl get a lot more success between the Zarya, between the Junker Queen. And we're also seeing a lot of odd comps like the Sigma, like the Ball, really find success as well. So, we can't predict what's going to be down the road, but we can predict that these teams are going to hone their skills, and SNHU is bringing a very particular set of players with skills that can absolutely steal wins down the road.
Oh man, what a match! We had a little bit of everything. I mean, you couldn't ask for anything more. We saw an opening performance, from ISU Shikigami U. The answer and the big clapback from the other side. Oh, does Shikigami U have an answer? Can they dig deep and find some way to stop this Junker Queen? Boom! They find a solution. They force the swaps on the other side. It goes the distance. We couldn't ask for a better night of Overwatch here for NECC. But unfortunately, that does bring us to a close. That is all we have got for you, friends. Thank you so much for hanging out. It has been an absolute blast. So from Reach That Hippie, Sam, and myself, we bid you a wonderful week, and we'll see you next week for more NECC.
Take care.